I'd feel like somehow this was like worth my time.
You know, honestly, I didn't see it. I've been broke since about the last 2 weeks. So honestly, I haven't been able to afford to go see a movie. That is, and that's kind of been adding to my depression too.
Just so you
and-
know, we're live, so.
Yeah, I know. I don't care. Dylan can hear. Yeah, no, Dylan can hear how I'm doing. Hi, Dylan.
R.I.P. Dylan.
R.I.P. Juggalos and juggahos, holla at your boy. But no, I do want to see this. And you know, I'm sure I'll see it like if it's on Netflix or whatever. I hate to be that person, but
R.I.P. Chad when that day comes.
yeah, R.I.P. Hey, come on, I'm already depressive. I've already got depression. Bad enough.
You know what'll cure that depression?
Some watermelon.
Talking about dicks for the next couple hours. So what do you say we?
Oh,
So let's talk about the Dick
Oh,
Cast.
Wait a
2016.
there is one other thing I needed to tell you guys, and this is me being serious. So every Thursday, I'm going to be doing a new podcast with my buddy Matt Barnes, and we're going to call it Geek Station Zero, and it's going to be done every Thursday night now. So if there's ever a night that we can't do it on like a Wednesday, I'm kind of out for Thursday.
That works. Thursdays are usually my go watch a movie that I don't feel like actually watching.
Meatballs 4.
So, all right. With that being said,
Spookies.
I'm going to start recording.
All right.
So.
Eat that one. No, wait, no, don't say that.
Yeah, stop that.
Okay.
Shh. Quiet on the set.
Quiet on the set. Oh, record the Bumble Claw on you. Is that good?
Go away, Werner Herzog.
Welcome to the Dead Air Horror and Genre Podcast.
Mr. Pop.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Dead Air Horror and Genre Podcast. It is March 2nd, 2016. That means February's over. That means we are now into almost spring. And I am here with the very talented Thai ladyboy, Mr. Jesse Bartell.
I am human and I need to be loved.
Just like anyone. And the ever so flatulent Mr. Chad Young, a.k.a. Bad the Chad.
Chad Carl Young.
After all this time, Grayskull is now ours.
Is that
Hey,
Larry
guys.
King?
No, Larry's hanging himself
R.I.P. Larry King.
with his suspenders.
And we are here today.
Oh wait, I'm getting a phone call. No, I'm
No.
not gonna do that again.
I will
I
mute.
took way too much time.
I will
Do you know how much
disconnect your
time
phone
and planning
service.
I spent? Yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that again. That took too for me to even consider it.
Chad accidentally muted himself.
Did I really?
For like 2 seconds. But anyway, we're
Oh,
here
sorry.
tonight to talk all about, well, we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff, including the Oscars, because that happened this weekend. So I got a few things that I want to say, and I want
So
to get
white.
So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about stuff we watched. We're going to talk about the upcoming Monster Mania thing that's happening.
Good, because we got some guest updates.
And we will get to that in a few minutes, but we're going to wrap everything up with a featured review of the new movie that is just doing bonkers business at the box office. It's called Gods of Egypt. And I was only being really facetious when I said bonkers box office because that movie is not doing very well.
Wait till it gets to China.
And
Shit.
and we'll have this discussion, and we can pontificate about why that is
It's a big word for you, Jeff.
when we get there. But Jesse and I were the only ones who saw the movie. Chad wasn't able to go.
Well, and it's funny that you say you're the only ones that saw it because you're not just talking about in the theater. You're talking about the only ones that saw it ever.
I mean, I was the only person in the theater when I saw it.
You didn't
There
go with
was-
your boy Squires? That's kind of weird.
No, I couldn't go. He had to. It was a whole thing. He had to see
Yeah.
999 that Thursday night, and then I just waited to. I just didn't go that Thursday night because I really wasn't looking forward to it. And then I saw it yesterday at like 3:30 or whatever it was.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was sad.
A movie
That
that
is a
probably
canon
shouldn't have
movie.
seen.
Yeah, the people who work at the movie theater probably think I'm like the saddest sack of shit ever.
Dude,
They
the
were
ones,
laughing at you.
believe me, the ones over at the theater out here probably think the same about me because they're just like,
Yeah.
you're always here. And
You
you
know what's
always go watch these shitty movies that nobody wants to watch.
Which is good because then you got the whole theater to yourself.
Well, I got a story about that, but we'll get to that. But
Oh.
anyway, so we're going to be doing that. So that's our kind of halfway agenda for tonight. If you're just listening for the first time, we usually do this live every Wednesday night, usually somewhere around 9:30 at night. It kind of depends on how our technical stuff is going. Tonight we're a little bit later than usual because we had some problems with headsets and things of that nature. And some business to speak of because, well, we'll
My
get to that.
business. My
'Cause
business.
we're important people.
So you can always find those episodes if you just go over to deadairpodcast.net. So here's a thing that happened, right? So last week when we were talking about stuff, Jesse, I got so like motivated on last week's podcast when we were talking all about Black Phillip and all that kind of stuff that afterwards I not only edited that podcast immediately after we recorded it, posted it, but I also
Who are you?
put the website up live. So deadairpodcast.net no longer goes to just that Libsyn page where there's like the last, 30 episodes. It's now actually going over to what is going to be our new home. Now here's the caveat to that. The problem is that I have to go and make posts for all of the other like several hundred other things that we've recorded over the last 6 years. So all that stuff's going to have to get moved over there. So right now that site only has like I think like 3 podcasts on it. I think it's got the Witch episode, it's got our Deadpool episode, and then it has a test post that I did last year when It Follows came out, which is about a year ago, actually. So
Wow.
there's not a lot up there yet, but there's going to be more stuff coming. So the point of that whole rant was just to tell you that you should go over to deadairpodcast.net and just check it out, and that is going to be the new place where you're going to go to get your
Share
stuff.
it with your friends if you have friends.
And if you're not subscribing
don't.
through iTunes, that's the best place to go. That's also going to be, we're going to post some other stuff as we get things going. Maybe like if I feel like doing a written review, it'll go up there. If I feel like posting news or if there's something going on with the show, we'll do that. But here's the new. Now that I have that page up, if you want to listen live on Wednesdays and you're just like, man, I don't want to have to go search that out, or you don't want to have to search through your Facebook feed or wait for me to put the link out on Twitter, there's actually a page, there's a link up at the top that you can click, and it says Watch Live. And if you click that, it goes and it pulls up this page that will have the most recent episode embedded on it that's going to be coming up. So you can just watch right off of that page if you want. Or you can click it and then go through to the YouTube page where that episode is. So the goal is going to be to eventually get it so all of this stuff is in one place, and so that you can search really easily through our episodes and our series and our retrospectives and all that kind of stuff. So go over to deadairpodcast.net, check it out. Again, I apologize, there's not a lot of content up there yet, and it's also not super flashy, but I need to have time to do that, and I was like, rather than spend a whole bunch of time working on this and waiting to do it, I'm just going to cut it over, because fuck it. I was feeling inspired at like 2 o'clock in the morning.
That Black Phillip, he just brings out the best in all of us.
He does. It's Black Phillip, man. And while you're there, here's another thing that you can do to help support us is if you shop at Amazon, which I know all of you do, what you can do is go and use the link that's on there up on the right-hand side, and it's a big Amazon logo thing. If you click on it, it takes you over to Amazon. And when you're doing your Amazon shopping, if you use that link to go to Amazon, and we'll actually get like a cut of that money, which will help us pay to keep the show going and all of the other costs that we're inferring, which would be good because, spend a lot of money on this and we don't get anything back out of it. So,
just
anything
your love
that we
and
can get
affection.
helps. So, and I know all of you shop at Amazon, so that's the easiest way to do it. So again, any support, we appreciate it like that. And then as always, if you want to hit us up, send us a message, give us feedback, questions, comments, concerns, you can send an email to feedback@deadairpodcast.net, and we will get it, and we can read it on the show if you would like. And also on Twitter, #deadairpodcast. And I guess that's about all the shameless self-promotion that we have. As far as news updates on things that are coming up, gentlemen, we are now today officially for me, 1 week out from Monster Mania /
That's right.
New Jersey / Dead Air Podcast meetup time, because I am going up there on the 10th. So that stuff is really close, guys. So that's happening. We will be up in Cherry Hill, New Jersey for Monster Mania. If you're not aware of what it is or any of that stuff, well, Chad will tell you about it in a minute, but you can find the info on Facebook, or I'm pretty sure that they had a website that I had to go to actually order my wristband, which came in the mail, by the way. That came in the mail last week, I think. So I'm sitting here and I'm looking at it. Haven't opened it yet because I was like, I don't want to lose this fucking thing. So I put it.
You will.
I put it somewhere that's safe, for the safekeeping. But it's a convention that's out there. It's at the Crown Plaza Hotel, and you can head out there. We will be there for Friday and Saturday. Jesse and I will be there for. Chad will be there Friday night and then part of Saturday as well. We'll be hanging out. We're going to be doing some podcast recordings. I think the plan is probably just to do a free-form podcast. It'll probably just be a longer, drunken, rambling, goofing off, us just talking with people, maybe a few special guests. Maybe we can get John Squires drunk enough that he'll come on the show, and then will be R.I.P. Freddie in space. So that's going to probably happen on Friday. And then Saturday, I think that our plan is maybe to do
breakfast.
Well, we're going to do that for sure, because I love me some breakfast.
Get us some breakfast!
Dude, I'm like Walt Jr. from Breaking Bad when it comes to breakfast. Like, seriously, breaking fast. It's my thing.
Whoa.
So, but Saturday, I think that the plan is that we're going to try to go out and see, 10 Cloverfield Lane?
That's where the monster lives.
And
no, spoilers.
That's his address.
And then I'm hoping that we'll record our episode there and do it on site, either from the hotel room or from somewhere else. I don't know the logistics, but
my butt.
So at any rate, when we get back from the convention, there should be some stuff that you guys will get to listen to. So even if you can't make it out to the convention, it'll be like you were kind of there.
No, they should be. Don't let them just slide by.
Well, okay. Well, why don't you tell them why they should go there, Chad? Do you have any updates?
Any hot scoops?
Oh my gosh, do I ever! Now,
Chad's going for salesman mode.
If you thought Monster Mania, I'm gonna turn into Don West. If you thought Monster Mania was done, we're not done now.
Okay.
Did we lose him?
Watch out, because here comes Brian Knobs and Jerry Saggs of the Nasty Boys. So essentially, these two are just like two of Hulk Hogan's drunk idiot moron friends that are tag teams that really just they weren't really that great of wrestlers. So
here's the thing: I remember those guys because that was when I was actually watching.
Mm-hmm. No, they were popular. They just weren't very good. because they try to add a wrestler or two. So what the fuck was that? Anyway,
I'm giving you some background music for your sales pitch.
what is that? Who is that? Oh, okay. So then the big name that got added, Lloyd Kaufman of Troma Films, who appears
He's at every
anything.
goddamn thing I've ever had.
You know what? And you know what? If you go up and like just talk to him and have him sign something, he will actually do a soundbite for you.
Oh, I know.
And he actually, because my nephew was planning on going into film school and he adores Troma, so I got Lloyd to like send him a little like message, and he was happy to do it, and he was really great about talking to me about my nephew. So
The Bloody Good Horror Podcast has a soundbite from him on which he tells people that they should listen to the Bloody Good Horror Podcast because the Bloody Good Horror Podcast is the best television there is.
Yeah.
I have a photo of Lloyd on the toilet, and he writes all his autographs with XOXO loved Lloyd, which is really funny to me. So Lloyd will be there. He signs for free. He doesn't care if you bring something or you buy something. He'll sign it. It doesn't really matter. And
the man is a pioneer.
he is. He's fantastic.
Back in tour.
I'm sorry, my rabbit is sniffing cleaner.
R.I.P. Chad.
Yeah, no. R.I.P. any of my hair. Oh, one other name got added to Monster Mania. And I don't know if you guys have any interest in this name, but Virginia Madsen.
That Candyman, though.
I don't care. She always looked kind of mannish to me. She always
that side boob.
She always bothered me. I didn't like Candyman. I thought it was kind of boring as shit.
You shut your mouth.
You shut your whore mouth.
You shut your mouth.
You smell like pee.
That's a good movie.
I just was bored by it. I didn't say it sucked. I just said I was bored by it.
Even though Tony Todd will never let it go.
He won't.
Like, someday I will be the Candyman again.
He's like really fat now.
Virginia,
he's really fat. Like he is a fat. He's exactly one fat bitch.
But we love him.
He's nice. He's just he fucking charges way more than he really should.
R.I.P. Tony Todd's donut collection.
Oh no. Tony Todd went to the restaurant and ate all the food at the restaurant, and they had to close the restaurant.
Tony Todd looks like Tony Todd ate Tony Todd.
He looks like... he looks like Chevy Chase.
I was gonna say he looks like a black Chevy Chase from National Lampoon's Vacation remake.
No, he looks like fucking Chevy Chase in blackface. That's all I can think of.
God.
So appropriate. Okay, so any other announcements with that, or any other reasons that people should be excited besides the fact that Jesse will be there and he'll be stripping?
Tell me I'm wrong.
Tell me you're wrong. What?
Tell me I'm wrong. Todd's black. Why should that be offensive?
I know Tony Todd is black, and you sound like your internet is going.
Clearly, you know.
I'm pretty sure Chad is having an entire conversation with himself right now. He keeps going on and off mute. Oh, these are the technical difficulties that we were speaking of earlier.
Questions, comments, concerns.
R.I.P. the internet.
So we'll be there at Monster Mania. It's gonna be a good time. I'm really looking forward to it. I am planning on drinking too much probably, and meeting people. That will be cool. Let's see who do we know that is going? Who do we know that we're going to see there?
Bloody Popcorn.
Yes, we will see Joanna.
Bloody Popcorn.
And I believe her husband Johnny is going to be there.
Her awesome husband.
And Heather Seabach just confirmed that she is going to be there.
Heather.
So we're going to see her.
That's Seabach, though.
John Squires, Freddy in Space.
R.I.P.
Just look for the guy with the beard and the Freddy sweater.
Look for the guy that looks like he might be a terrorist.
Smelly flannel. It
Who else?
might be.
Guys? Who else do we
He's
know?
a terrorist
Dylan.
on our hearts.
Dylan is going to be working there.
Yeah. So make sure you get him a messenger and just ask
Yes,
him
he
to
is.
get
Well,
you
actually,
Hi,
the way
Dylan.
that I was planning on greeting Dylan was just getting a bottle of Faygo, and then when I see him, I was going to shake it up and spray it all over him. And watch how fast they throw me out
And then
of the
Dave is
hotel.
gonna fire him.
Stop
They're gonna throw.
bringing,
They're gonna
stop
throw
bringing juggalos to the convention. Dylan.
jug a hoe.
And I could only hope that there would be enough
Uh,
juggalos there that it would start a chain reaction.
Of course.
There won't be. There won't be. There won't be. Sadly, there's not enough juggalos. There's not enough room to hold all those juggalos.
Fright Rags.
The fire
will be there.
marshal will just come by and kick them all out.
Fright Rags.
Fright
will be
Rags,
there.
we love.
So we're
Zorno.
gonna- We're gonna see.
that Ben Scrivens though.
Yep, we're gonna see Ben Scrivens, and I'm guessing Kimmy's going.
Ben Scrivens, the nicest
Yep.
guy in the scene.
Yeah, no, he really is. It's almost
Chris
like
you could be
Tanzi
like, you
will
could
not
like,
be
you could
there.
like murder his family, and he'd be like, "Oh man, listen, that's really cool and everything. Like, I'm gonna have to take you to court, but I mean, like, you know, you had to do your thing."
I don't wanna.
Because he's just nice like
I
that.
don't want to. Chris Tansky will not be there.
Yeah, he's
By
got
the
a
way.
wedding or something, I think, right?
R.I.P.
Yeah,
Chris.
just like our
Tansky.
show, he couldn't show up to our show, so he can't show up to that convention either.
Oh,
Oh.
shots fired.
What?
Pew 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 pew.
Not a shot. That's pew, 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 pew. That's not a shot. Let's see who else will be there. The Reverend Dr. James Harris, Doc Sexy.
Yeah, I believe he's going to be there. Now, I don't know if he's... I saw he posted something on Facebook earlier today that was asking, like, who was going and then coming back that night. So I don't know if that means he's only going to be there for a little bit, but he's going to be there, I
The
believe.
last time he only went for the day. The last time I saw him
It
there.
was just a little bit different because he was looking for a ride. I don't know, maybe
He
it's
was only
because of the...
there.
It could be because of the health
Yeah.
stuff that he's got going on.
Right, maybe he can't drive.
That's what I was saying. Like, it's possible
Maybe.
because he's got all that chemotherapy stuff going on.
That chemo swag.
He looks
So
like
somebody-
he looks like Ian McKay from Minor Threat.
Yeah, a little bit.
What? Oh no!
Yeah. So dude, take a look at the picture that he had. He posted. There's like a picture of him drinking a milkshake. And I was
Motherfucker
like-
is punk rock.
Yeah, that's what I posted on there. I just started posting Minor Threat lyrics, and he understood what I was talking about.
He's all about that.
Pretty much. Good
That
guy.
James Harris,
I
he.
love James.
Yeah.
Love James. So we have two Chads in the call now.
Hey, what's going on? Question, comment?
Oh my God! Tonight just keeps getting better and better. So anybody else that we can think of? I don't know.
Jesus will be there in spirit, guiding us all.
Let's see. Chris Ott. Let's see. Chris Ott's always there. Who else will be there? Let's see. Who else? Shit Movie Fest. Thomas Bryce. It's my boy. Gotta holler at him.
Thomas Bryce.
Yeah, great guy.
Also the other nicest guy on the scene.
Yes, it is. He's absolutely the nicest guy.
I've never met him. So.
Oh, he's great.
He's
He'll
a
just
good
sit
time.
there and talk to you about movies. He loves movies and he loves beer. So
There you go.
a
Who
bunch of
doesn't love
other
beer? Everybody should love beer.
I don't. You guys are stupid because I'm better than you.
That's one way
See,
to. Are you trying to not trying to marginalize us?
I'm sorry that I'm straight edge and I'm better than you. I'm
Hey, I don't have any problem with people being straight edge. Just
Neither
for
do
the
I.
record, I'm not gonna be like, yo, man, I'm not. You're a fucking turkey or whatever the hell that
You're just
bullshit.
like-
I'm
you're
not
like-
a chicken. You're a turkey.
We're like waterboarding people with alcohol.
I'm mostly just like, well, I'm glad that your life is better than mine. That you don't have to drink to feel something.
To feel feelings.
Well then, you don't need to feel these nuts, bitch.
Honestly, like it
How you like
probably starting homebrewing was probably the part about it that made it get even worse, because now it wasn't even just like, oh, I just like beer because I liked it. Now I'm just like, yo, beer is science, and I'm doing a
Well,
science
that
experiment.
makes it better though. Like
That's
that
what
makes-
I'm saying.
That's
like,
what makes it a hobby.
I think it just made it so that like now I just consume alcohol more regularly. But funnily enough about that though, I probably
funnily because
well-
you use a funnel.
no, like, so I don't drink like when you think of like people drinking and partying, like you think of,
I was saying
You know.
like home brewing.
well, I'm talking about like people like funneling beer and like doing keg stands and all sort of
Oh,
ridiculous
I was
shit.
just saying you probably funnel your beer to fucking brew it. No, I was just.
Oh no,
Okay.
no,
Okay.
not
Okay.
really.
Don't
I use
feel
a siphon.
stupid.
I use a siphon.
Ooh,
Yeah.
for
shit.
that. I just dude,
Ooh.
I just kegged 14 gallons of beer last night. So that was fun.
Sound like some sophomore in high school. Dude, I just totally siphoned 3 bottles of beer. That's what you sound.
But
That's what you sound.
nine of those gallons are coming with me to New Jersey, and I'm hoping that none of them come back with me. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't turn out shitty.
By the way, there's a few other people I left out that are gonna be at Monster Mania. First off, we got VHSBS. Sean and George, good people.
Is he gonna be dressed up in Kiss cosplay?
No, but right after this, I've got a funny story about that.
I know about it, but I would like you to tell it anyway.
Okay. Oh, you've already seen the video of that.
I've seen the video.
Okay, so then there's Brian Farrell and Derek Ash from Eclectic Mayhem podcast, good friends of mine. And then you've got John Z from the Sewer Den, who I am a huge fan of, and he's just a good guy overall. So there's going to be like a lot of people that like you'll see like on Twitter, like in our circles that are going to be there that people probably haven't met before.
Oh, Freddie's going to be there. Speaking
Freddie.
of.
Oh, Freddie Young
From Full Moon Review.
Oh, we love Freddie Young.
Yeah.
Me and him are the league of.
I guess he is coming. I forget what the deal was. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else.
Our tag team would be called the League of Booty because we love butts.
You see, and it's so funny because Freddie lives like relatively close to, like he lives in Brooklyn, so he lives like an hour from me, but I've never met him. So
yeah, I've never met him.
That is kind of weird.
I've been friends with him on like
Seems
Facebook
like a nice
and
guy.
Twitter for a while.
He seems very nice.
Seems like a fine, strapping young lad.
Yeah, he seems handsome and nice. Yes.
Huh.
And I think he listens to our podcast, so that
I
makes
believe
it
so. Intermittently, I believe he listens to it.
Because who
League of
wouldn't want to
Booty.
listen to us talk about
I know.
butts
Who wouldn't want to binge listen to us?
Oh God.
Hey, by the way, thank you for saying that. Thank you for mentioning my Lauren Graham obsession on my my profile on the site. Thank you very much.
R.I.P. R.I.P.
So here's the thing. I asked you guys to provide
Oh
me
yeah, I
with
forgot to
written
do that.
things, and the only
Here we
thing I
go,
got
yeah.
was Chad asking me for age, sex, location, and I was like, motherfucker, this isn't 1997 AOL chat room. So I just was like, you know what? They get what they get. So I just went to your Facebook things, and I just found like a picture of each of you that didn't look, too
Shitty.
risque.
Okay.
that painted you to be like you weren't, like
Who I was.
a deviant, pretty much.
A child.
I was not gonna go there, but I tried to find
Made us
some
look like
that were presentable, and I put those up, and then I really quickly just was like, what can I write? And Jesse's was easy because I'm just like, okay, Nick Cage books, and Long Island.
I sell books. That's what I do.
So I just put that in there, and then Chad, I was just like, I don't even know what to put, so I just put something about he likes wrestling and Lauren Graham.
I do.
I was watching Gilmore Girls today, by the way.
I just
that's
like
what
watching
started
Lauren
that
Graham walk around in tight jeans.
Because somebody said something, and then Lori was asking questions about what was happening with the Lauren Graham thing, and she's like, "Was he talking about her butt?" And I was like,
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, Lauren Graham doesn't really have much butt, but my gosh, that woman looks great in jeans.
She's got that white.
She's got that
white girl booty.
She got that apple bottom.
She's got that Taylor Swift booty.
Yeah, she does. As in nothing.
Yep.
Guys, you know what though?
So,
that Anna Kendrick.
Yeah, I got techniques sweating from my butt cheeks. I sleep on my stomach so I don't fuck up my sheets.
Oh Jesus, here we go. All right, so we're gonna have to do that. One of these times we're gonna have to go out to karaoke when we go out to one of these things.
Oh bro, oh man, oh yeah.
I'm serious.
Yeah, bro.
One of these times when we go out to one of these meetups, we need to go and do karaoke.
Oh man.
You know what's funny is they don't have
really
karaoke in that hotel bar, which is funny because they used to do there used to be a charity called Scarioke that would like go to conventions and all,
Oh,
and they would
really?
and they would do prizes and all that stuff, and essentially it was just a bunch of morons that were just drunk singing karaoke. I've never
Well,
done karaoke. I
That's what
don't
it
think I
usually
ever would.
is, Chad. That's usually what it
Huh.
is. It's just a bunch
Yeah,
of
it's
drunk
usually
people who
like,
can't sing.
and
Singing.
in Japan, you can be in there for 24 hours and just keep singing, and they
Well,
don't
they
have.
have
So
they have
kawaii.
rooms, so they do
Yeah.
the same thing. We got a place up here that just opened up, and it's like that. It's like the
Yeah.
Japanese style thing where it's like you go and they basically put you in a room, and there's a bar and whatnot, and you can get service so that they'll actually bring you drinks or whatever. But it's like it's just you and your friends, so that you don't have to go out in front of everybody.
Baby metal.
Part of the fun is going up in front of all the people and just making an ass of yourself.
Baby metal though.
Baby metal karaoke, that would be Jesse's jam.
Oh man, I can't. I'd have to, yeah, I'd
Chad
have
would
to-
just be doing the fucking Tim Capello karaoke.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! He's gonna be at fucking Chiller Theater. Do you know how excited I am for that?
We do now.
Oh, I figured as much.
Yeah.
I figured as
Guys
much. Can you,
dick.
if you gotta get a picture of him, and you gotta recreate that picture that I made.
Fuck no. This is my first Chiller in 11 years, and you're gonna get me kicked out.
so
And you're not
anyhow,
even there.
well, yeah, dude. I think 2 conventions. So I've never been to a convention before, and I think
Mhm.
2 of them in a year is gonna be enough for me.
A con. They call it
I'm
a
still
con.
okay. A con.
Oh.
I'm still planning on. I'm still planning on going to ScareCon
Yeah.
in the
We're gonna have
fall.
We're gonna have fun.
So-
They have a serious buffet.
I believe Chad will be there, and I'm hoping that I can convince
Dawn.
Jesse to come.
Been two?
What?
Been two?
Into what?
No, you said convince someone, and then it cut out.
Oh, I said I was hoping that I can convince Jesse to go.
Yeah.
But
Maybe.
We'll see. We'll see.
Maybe.
Come on, Jesse.
We'll see what my pay grade is by then.
Yeah.
Well, I'm already gonna have to get the room, so if you can just make it out there, that might be enough.
Alright.
We'll
Ooh,
discuss.
you know what we will.
Or
And
you
speaking
could
of discussing,
pay me in other ways.
Yeah, fellatio.
Oh, I'm not gonna get into
Ooh.
specifics here, but
Fellatio.
anyway,
Lily
I
Tomlin.
think 2 of them is enough for right now. So I don't
Yeah.
think I need to drive up to
Lightweight.
Illinois.
Okay, so
You
speaking of
fucking casual.
speaking of Lily Tomlin's asshole, you guys, I got to tell you the Gene Simmons story that Jeff was alluding to. So I was staying with it was at Horror Find 2011, and I was staying with Lori, Sean, and I won't mention the other person, but so it was Saturday, and
Well, you probably just want to preface this by saying that Lori is your fiance.
oh yeah, she's my fiance.
So
Yeah,
just so
Fian-
for
your
context for
fiancé.
people who might not know that.
yeah. Well, fair enough.
She's your life partner.
Yeah, so she's my life partner. She's my BF Earth.
She supports you in your transition from man to a woman.
Yay! She
That
is
Eddie
my.
Redmayne though.
Oh no!
That Danish girl.
Oh shit! We're not gonna.
Tracy Morgan.
Oh my gosh! I
Sorry.
want that movie to happen.
Dude, I would watch it. We'll get to that, but
Yeah. So here's what happened: was Lori was vending with another person, and it was Saturday. It was kind of late, and I was real tired, so I decided to go back up to the room. So what I didn't know is our buddy Sean, who is one of the the masterminds behind VHSPS, he apparently dresses up like Gene Simmons. So I'm napping, and all of a sudden, I hear the door open, and it's Lori and the person who shall not be named. They were cracking up, and I turn around, and I just see Sean hunching over the bed like Gene Simmons, and he's walking in so slowly. And Lori has this on video, and it's one of the funniest things you'll ever see, just because it's so stupid.
he looks like Gene Simmons too. Like,
And he gets into it. If you see, it's funny because I passed through the convention hallways as he was coming in, and he was taking pictures with people, and again, I didn't know it was him, so I was like, I should tell Sean that there's a really cool Gene Simmons impersonator here. He would love this. So, yeah. So I wonder if that video is
pulling like
public.
a reverse
I should
Robert
probably
Downey
just post
Jr.
it on the. What do you mean?
Well, like Robert Downey Jr. Like,
Me?
no, I was talking about Sean, because like
Oh, Sean.
all those like Marvel actors, they go out to these places and they just dress up like in costumes or other things, so people don't know that. Like they'll go cosplay as their characters, and people
Yep.
think that they're just cosplayers, and it's them.
I knew I didn't know Sean as well as I do now. So like back, he was still kind of very mysterious to me. The best part of this is, as I was leaving the hotel room because I had to like put some of my autographs back, he was in the bathroom like putting on the makeup, and there was like a 7-Eleven like Slurpee cup, but it was like all melted, and it was red. So I was like, oh, he must have gone to 7-Eleven. I would have liked a Slurpee. So I was kind of pissed off at him for a minute.
It's like make or break the relationship with Chad.
The bastard didn't give me my Slurpee, and now all I do is ever shill his fucking website. Fuck him. But no, that was that. If I can find the video, and I know Lori might even still have it on her iPhone. I should just post it on the
I've seen it. I mean,
Dead Air page. It's pretty fucking stupid.
I'll put it if you can find it. If you can find it, I'll post it up there. I can put it in the notes with this episode. I'd be more than happy to include that, because that was before I even really knew who you were. Like I knew who you were from Facebook, but I didn't know you.
You didn't know who he was.
This is back when things were good.
You don't know
before
me.
I actually heard Chad speak. And now I'm just like, man, I wish that I hadn't found that out.
Now you
whoa. You done goofed, son, because you're the reason. Shut up. You're the reason I'm fucking doing this right now, boy.
I know.
So don't get all pissy pants on me. Don't you dare.
Pissypants.com. So you can find
BloodyShittyUnder.com.
AKA Spike Lee.
Oh no. By the way, someone said that I forgot what the worst movie of the year they listed as, but then I said to them, well, what about The Sweet Blood of Jesus? And they were like, oh no, that was a fine movie. And I'm like, okay, we're done.
Wait, who said that?
I can't remember who said it. It was like one of those quick Twitter conversations.
It was Justin the Liberty, wasn't it?
No, I don't think he. I don't even know if he saw that movie.
No, he saw it.
And he liked it?
No, I'm pretty sure he did.
Smart man.
We had a conversation
Not so bad
about
after all.
the "you killed me" line. Because he was basically like, R.I.P. that lady from The Wire. He shows up and gives the worst performance. She's talking about something about eating her pussy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't remember
talk
exactly
about,
what happened. All I remember is like he like killed her and she's like, you killed me.
That movie was bad.
Yeah, that movie.
Yeah.
That movie was almost awesomely bad until
it goes past like the 20-minute mark.
Yeah, it's like once they get to where he's at like the other house and then the lady shows up and then it turns into some bullshit.
There's just like a weird lesbian porno scene for like.
Yeah. And there's like the.
Wait a minute, hold on. Jesse, you didn't even fucking show up. How dare
you?
I watched it though.
Jesse
That's
got
the real
super
reason he
sick.
didn't show up.
Yeah, I was sick that day.
Jesse got that. Well, that's where it all started, where somebody picks a shitty movie and then they don't show up for the podcast. So, and this is why I generally am like, hey, this is what we're reviewing this week, because when I let you guys pick, you pick something awful and then you don't show up for it.
Oh please, like you pick perfect movies. Okay.
No, I just pick what I just blind pick, and I'm just like,
how was Ex Machina?
Hey, that movie's fucking. That movie won some major awards.
Wait a minute, hold on.
That's an Oscar award-winning movie.
It is now.
Let me just say this, because
not that means much.
When I was watching the Oscars, and what did they announce the first award for Ex Machina?
Oh, it only
was it
won
like visuals?
I think it was like visual design.
It won special effects, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
it was, and I even said to Lori, as much as I hate that movie, I can't really argue with that.
Well, here's the funny thing,
special effects.
Well, we'll get into it, but like, I mean, it beat Star Wars, and all this other stuff. And I was just like, wow, like, and you know that they just did that because they wanted to give it an award, and I'm fine with that. I don't really care. In fact, I was kind of bored that they didn't give Star Wars any Oscars, and I was.
That didn't make any sense.
Well, I was actually kind of fine with it because.
Why?
In a lot of ways, I think they made some okay choices. There's some questionable choices and some ridiculousness. I mean, we'll talk about that because I really want to talk about the Oscars as a whole at some point before we review, in quotes, Gods of Egypt. But we can have that discussion in a minute. So
let's have it now.
You want to have that now? Okay, so
get into
the Oscars. So the Oscars happened this past weekend.
Yeah.
On Sunday. And Chad, come on. Wake up, Chad. And, here's the thing. Like, so, first off, I just want to preface this by saying that, like, I don't actually put any weight into the decisions that the Oscars make. Because we all know it's a bunch of bullshit, and it's really just... I don't want to say a popularity contest, but it's very much a political thing within the Hollywood system. And this year got a lot of attention because of the lack of non-white nominees, which was pretty much everybody was white.
Which is usually always the case.
Well, right. And that's the thing. And for some reason, everybody singled it out this year like it was a big... Well, really, I think what started the whole thing was Will Smith crying because he didn't get nominated, which, quite frankly, like I think everybody else who got nominated did a better job than he did, so I don't really feel bad about it. But he kind of started that whole thing and then being like, yo, I'm going to boycott the Oscars, and then there was a whole bunch of stupid Hollywood old people who said things like Charlotte Rampling opened her fucking mouth. And she shouldn't, because she's like 80-something years old.
Right. And
some 80-year-old white lady should not start going off about race, because she was still alive when black people had to go piss in a separate bathroom.
Right, she's like the whitest white person out there.
Yeah, and so
Great actress, but like, I mean, come on.
Well, talent doesn't have anything to do with whether or not you're a fucking asshole.
Right.
Right?
No, yes.
So that's the thing. But apparently that was the big controversy this year, and then, it obviously made enough of an impact that the odd part about this whole thing is the entire Oscars. So then they immediately were like, well, we need to get Chris Rock to host because he's black. That will help us, right? And I don't think it was a bad choice because, quite frankly, I enjoyed watching Chris Rock, and I was perfectly fine with it.
Yeah, but he was kind of boring.
Well, but how much
of boring? I don't really think. I think he was.
I don't know, man. Like
I'm sure a lot of. I think a lot of it he probably had to like cut. I'm sure he wanted to say a lot more, but
he said some stuff that I was surprised he got away with. Like,
yeah, no, he definitely.
He didn't let up. They didn't let up on any of that, and you know what?
But like, I still feel like
I'm kind of glad, but I also am like, well, the problem isn't that black people or non-white people didn't get nominated. The bigger problem is that they don't get roles. Right? Like, they need more substantial roles, and then that will turn into the nomination. So the problem isn't, hey, they didn't nominate Tyler Perry for the latest Medea movie because...
Damn it. I mean, stupid idiots.
They kind of brought that up at some point when they were like, hey, like, they're asking all the people at the Compton movie theater
right.
that they went to, and they didn't know any of the movies, but then they're like, oh, did you see Straight Outta Compton? And they're like, hell yeah. And it's like, if the Oscars were going by popular opinion in general, and this is not even just like black, white, Latino, anything, like if you're just talking about the movies that people actually see, the Oscar-winning movies really would be the worst movies.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the general public was voting for these things, it really would just be garbage that everybody goes to see. That's just like your typical generic bullshit. So I'm not necessarily thinking that it's a problem on that level, but I do I do think the problem is that, and
Well,
I think it's something that's working itself out though, right?
Right, it is, and people like it's it's like it's not the Oscars are like a symptom of the disease sort of situation, right?
Well, the Oscars were started by the studio so that they could just pat each other on the back.
Right, exactly. It's a big circle jerk thing, and
Pretty much.
The big problem is that it's the system itself that's been sort of broken in that the opportunities are not there for people who are basically not super white, and white people can go off about how like that's you hear it all the time too, and I heard it from this as well. It's like they just go off about how annoying it is, and if they want to get nominated, have better act better, which is like not that's not how you go about this, and
basically old white people should never be allowed to talk.
No,
on these things.
There's always there's always that white person mentality of like like when profiling is happening, and they're always just like, well, everyone knows how to make decisions and this and that, and they can make good decisions too, and it's like, well, it's way more complicated than that, and you have to kind of look at it, and we can have this conversation, like we should talk about race in movies, and we should talk about race in Hollywood. That doesn't mean that we're calling white people racist, right? And I think Chris Rock did a good job at sort of like putting that fire out, right? He said, is it burning crosses on the lawn racist? No. Is it sir, can I get you more lemonade racist? No. But it is that sort of like sorority house racism that is sort of just ingrained in our culture that we're trying to weed out. And it goes for black people as much as it goes for Latinos and Asian people as well, but sort of the black voice is very strong and prominent for good reason, because you kind of had a huge issue with that in our society. And I think that addressing this and having this conversation is a mature thing to do, and there's a lot of people out there that just want to shove it under the rug and be like, well, I'm not racist. I don't I like black people.
I've got black friends.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like
I know a black guy that I work with that I said hi to once.
Right, yeah. No one's pointing fingers at you personally. Like, we're just talking about this other thing that's going on in the background. And, people have to be mature enough to realize that. And I think we're getting there slowly, hopefully. Then again, like, half the country is voting for Trump. So I don't know if that is, the right thing yet. But, I really like Chris Rock as a host. I mean, as a host goes, he was fine. Usually, Oscar hosts, pretty boring. I mean, it's not like, there's a lot of limitations, but I think that for what he could do, he said a lot of things that were pretty prominent, because he also addressed the sort of issue that we have between, the actor-actress thing, right? He said,
that's true.
Right? I mean, like,
he basically was like, we have a category for men and women, so why don't we just make a category
for black people? Like, he's absolutely right. Like, it's ridiculous that that's even a thing.
Well,
because
that's why there's a lot of people. There was this whole movement, not in the award, but of should we say when we're referring to a woman who was in a movie, should we call her an actor or should we call her an actress?
Right.
Like, and a lot of them have been like, well, no, I'm just an actor. Like,
right,
you don't need to be like, oh, you were the best at being a woman.
Right, exactly. You're really good at being a woman, and you need a special class because you're not going to outact the male actors or something like that. And it's the same.
I guess it gives them more categories, but
right, and it's the same reason too. Like, we don't call them stewardesses anymore. We call them flight attendants, and that's not a politically correct thing to say. That is just something to say because to put S on the end of an adjective or something like that is somehow like basically making it less than it is in a lot of ways. Also,
so basically the entire French language is just completely sexist.
Pretty much. I mean, most romantic languages are kind of sexist, but but I mean, and also it gave men who can be flight attendants as well, and you know what? Also, they're not always gay. So it's
mostly though.
Mostly, for sure. But that's their there's their priorities and or their prerogative. Sorry. But I think it was like as a whole, I think it was a pretty good like
Ceremony.
Oscar ceremony. Like it was decent.
Event.
It was as interesting as it could be. And that's it's never like super astounding. It's just always just good because this is how those award shows are.
I think my biggest thing though is like every year I hear the same thing. It's just that like people are just like, oh, fuck the Oscars and this and that, and then everybody like so something that is tangentially genre related or something that's fully genre related gets nominated, and then everybody's like, yo, that movie got robbed, and it's like, you don't understand, man. They're not gonna give the fucking award like the best picture race. Like people were like, yo, Mad Max got robbed, and it's like, well, okay, like out of all of those, like, yeah, that was my favorite movie. Right. But at the same time, though, like, you got to understand, there's no fucking chance in hell that they're ever going to give that movie the, movie of the year or whatever. In fact, like, what they did was they all showed, hey, we fucking love this movie by giving it all those other Oscars. Because they gave it like 6 Oscars. In fact, I think it may have won the most Oscars out of any movie that night.
That's a super big thing. I mean, it's pretty unprecedented, I guess, for a genre movie like that to not.
Right.
I mean, there's plenty of genre movies that have won Oscars, but I mean, to win that many Oscars, and it was so great because the people behind Mad Max were mostly women too, which was also a really awesome thing to see.
I also loved how most of them weren't really dressed up.
Right.
They were just like, fuck it, we're just wearing what we want to wear.
They're all like Australians or they're like Scottish or English, and they're just like, yo, I'm going to have this bedazzled Mad Max jacket on.
Also, like, straight up F-bombing when they were, like, accepting speeches.
Yep.
Or accepting the award, the speeches. Like, that was great as well, because they were just like, fucking Mad Max.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right.
But it was, I mean, it was a testament to that movie and just how good it is on a technical level, and it's not... it's a genre movie that happens to actually have a strong sort of backing to it, right?
Well, that's the thing is there's a lot of underlying messages between there about the environment, which seemed to be so. That was definitely a big thing this year, and we'll go into that a little bit more. But the environment thing was definitely a big thing, and then also just the fact of women being involved with stuff and just. I mean, honestly, like that movie is just like a miracle that it exists. Number one, and then number two, that it's as popular and watchable as it is, right? Like it's just a great movie, and actually at one point I was like, man, they might actually even give George Miller this fucking award, because I honestly, if they hadn't given Best Director out to Inarritu again, which we'll talk about that, but if they hadn't given it to him, I honestly think there was a good chance that they could have given it over to George Miller, if only just because the dude is super old at this point. Like,
right.
Well, not super old, but he's old.
He's oldish, right? And he looks like a 70s, Batman.
Right? But you could tell that everybody was just like straight up on his side, even the people that, there was definitely a lot of people there that definitely respected him. And I mean, you could see that happen too. I mean, they gave the score award to Ennio Morricone, which that was fucking great.
Yeah. And that's also sort of, I mean, like that's sort of a career Oscar, but
that's what I mean. He had gotten an honorary one, I think, but this was like the first time that they had ever actually like given him an Oscar for something. And he'd been nominated like something like, was it like 50 times or something like that? Something ridiculous, where he got like tons of nominations for Oscars before and had never won it. But just the fact that everybody stopped and stood up and gave him a standing ovation, and they didn't even dare play that fucking playoff music, which is one of the things I watch the Oscars for, because I like to watch how that works and how they decide to do what they're doing. And on that one, they didn't even fuck it. They were just like, nope. We're just gonna let this guy talk as long as he needs, because he wasn't speaking English, right? So they had the translator. But B, they're just like, could you think of like how bad that would have looked if they were trying to play off like the super old Italian dude?
Yeah, and they were pretty liberal this year with the playoffs, I would say.
Yeah, well,
they started early. this year.
So here's the thing.
Uh-huh.
Is Inarritu the only dude to ever be like, fuck you, you're not playing me off, I'm just going to keep talking? Because they started to play him off and he just kept going, and then the music stopped. And then they just were like, well, we need to just let him finish, because like he started bringing like race into it, and started bringing the environment into it, and basically was playing that card that was just like, look, like if you're really gonna like drag me off stage with this fucking the old was it the cane that they used to like be like pull the cane out and
run him
like,
out on a rail.
Yeah. Like if they started to do that, they would have looked like the biggest assholes, especially in this very racially charged environment that was going on then. I mean, they had to address it, right?
Right, yeah. And
Which is fucking funny, because the Academy president is a black woman.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's kind of, I don't want to say it's funny, but it's just like, I mean, it's very ironic that you have.
Yeah, there's a dramatic irony there that is. But once again, it's like I said, it's the Oscars are just a symptom of the disease.
Right, and I think it'll what we need the right people to start dying.
Right, exactly. You just need the sort of traditional, I mean, not that I wish anybody to die, but sort of these really traditional, people who see the way that the industry works, to kind of, give way to the people who are brought up on sort of alternative, alternative education on how the film industry should work, right? And the people are there. That's why the voice is so loud, right? All these people that you might claim are annoying and this and that are like, college kids, or they're making their movies now, or this and that. But, one day some of those people will be, on the board, and they will be making decisions, and, they won't forget the things that they learned and they've been brought up with. So it's a matter of time, it's just, but, it's not a terrible thing to have, this conversation now about it, because
I don't think that there's any conversation that you shouldn't have.
Right.
I mean, you have to know the time and the place to have that conversation, but if we don't talk about issues or anything in general, if there's like a topic that's quote unquote like off limits, like that is what makes it a problem.
Right.
It's like with comedy, right? Like when you say, okay, like you can make these jokes, but don't make any jokes about handicapped people.
Right.
Like
then
that makes it worse, because as soon as you're singling that out, and that's the whole thing. I mean, the South Park guys have talked about this before, like Trey Parker and Matt Stone, about how they kind of feel obligated to make fun of all of this stuff, because as soon as they avoid one of those subjects, they're picking and choosing then, and then that means that they're actually being assholes with all the other stuff that they did.
Right, and then in some ways, you're fetishizing the thing that you're not being able to talk about, and it becomes a thing. But there's always a time and a place sometimes. But I mean, nothing should be off limits. I mean, you can't kind of just bad taste to make a 9/11 joke on December or September 12th, the day after it happens or something. But there's something to be found there, or something like that. There's always humor to be found, and usually humor, for all it's sometimes perceived animosity, is actually there in a lot of ways to help us deal with a lot of things.
And let's not forget that comedy is also what finally brought the whole Bill Cosby thing to the forefront.
Yeah, exactly. Hannibal Buress, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, that guy's always going to be the dude who called Cosby out. Like,
and he was, when he initially made that joke, he was crucified, and basically, people didn't want it. It wasn't the fact that Bill Cosby was being accused of rape. It was the fact that he made a rape joke, or made not light of rape, but he basically brought rape into his set, and that rubbed people the wrong way, because people don't want to talk about rape, and it's an uncomfortable subject for very good reasons. But
Which is why if you make a movie about it, you can get an Oscar.
This is right.
As long as it's involving mostly white people,
And
if it's related in some way to
to
a real Hollywood person.
Yeah, to little kids.
Well, that too, yeah. I mean, that's and Spotlight's a great movie. Like, don't get me wrong.
I haven't seen it yet, but
I find it fascinating that Tom McCarthy made one of the worst movies of the year, The Cobbler, and one of the movies that is actually like really super good and power. It's a fucking acting movie, and the thing that I hear people criticize it for is they're like, well, they gave it the award because it just had the actingest actors. You know what I mean? They're just like, hey.
There was a lot of cameras and lighting on set.
No, I mean like more like grandstanding. Like when they're like, hey, here's a bunch of lines, and we're gonna like close up on you, and you're gonna yell at people, and you're gonna get like passionate about it, which is fine. But I do feel like, the things that they had to say about the movie when they won. I mean, it's true. Like they were bringing up an issue. It's based on an issue. I'm glad that it got I'm glad it got a couple awards. I mean, it definitely deserved the adapted screenplay Oscar, I think. And I'm glad that it got that. And I like the fact that, that they had something to say. But again, it's all a political fucking game. I mean, The Revenant only got all those Oscars. Well, so the cinematography Oscar should have been a lock anyway, because you can say what you want about The Revenant, but
that's a good-looking movie.
It's a good-looking movie, and the fact that it was shot with using only available light, and fucking Emmanuel Lubezki is just like, he's a fucking genius. And this is like the third year in a row, I think, that he won the cinematography Oscar. So pretty much any year that dude makes a movie, he's probably gonna get it.
He's got work coming his way, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I get that, but the only reason that The Revenant got the rest of the Oscars it did, so it got the Leonardo DiCaprio Oscar partially because there's been this whole thing for several years now where they've just been talking about how he's been getting snubbed, right?
And they basically just made Oscar the movie for him.
That's exactly what it was. They're like, let's make this, and let's make this movie that's about white people like kind of being heroic. And that's the other fucking thing that was kind of ridiculous, because when Inarritu got up there and started talking about how the movie was like the race implications, it's like, dude, but you made the movie where it's like white people saving like, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's really weird. I'm really torn about that movie because like technically it's pretty amazing. Like it's really well made. And the behind the scenes shit is what really sold probably all the Academy voters, because they're just like, oh my God, those people just went and got tortured for 9 months. And it's like, yeah, that doesn't equal an Oscar. It shouldn't. Like DiCaprio should have won for like Wolf of Wall Street.
Right.
Not for this. Like he really wasn't that good in it. He endured a bunch of bullshit to make it. But come on, like this isn't like a physical sports event, right?
Right. No, I mean, and let's be honest, Tom Hardy was that movie for me, at least.
Yeah, well, he was really good. I mean, I knew he wasn't going to win, right?
Right.
So,
but I mean, he was like, for me, like at least, I mean, subjectively and from my personal experience, like I was really invested in that movie because of Tom Hardy. I really didn't care much for Leo's character.
Yeah, well, exactly. But we all knew that that's where it was going to be, because that's where they were putting all their money. That's where all the press was going, which is why I thought it was hilarious when people acted surprised that he won. And I'm like, come on, guys. He's been a lock for as long as, I can think of.
I mean, he's always been a good actor, and he's always, yeah. But
and the whole director thing, I'm just like, well, I guess they just gave it to him probably because of the whole this was so hard to make thing.
Right.
But like Mad Max was super difficult to make and took the same amount of time. But if all the stories had been coming out when that was made, and if it had come out later in the year, or I guess in this case, that's another weird thing about the fucking Revenant, because they did that bullshit where they're like, we're going to put it out in like 10 movie theaters in December. And then they went wide in January so that when all the voting was going on, most people were just seeing it.
Yeah, they just were hot off the high.
Right. Whereas Mad Max was put out in the summertime, and it was released with like all of the big summer movies that you usually don't see anything about in there. And again, I don't think that movie's ever going to win. At some point, maybe we'll have something like that that's going to win Best Picture. I mean, I could see one of the later Star Wars movies when they can finally get into when we get that Empire type movie, I could see that happening. Right?
That'd be great if we got like.
And I mean, we've had it because Return of the King, right? Mm-hmm. But that was really just them being like, well, we're not going to give these Oscars to all these other Lord of the Rings movies, but we're just going to give like the last movie all these Oscars to make up for the fact that we didn't give Oscars for the other ones.
That's a good movie too.
Oh, I'm not arguing that, right? Like, I think that's completely legitimate, but that's the way that it works. And I get completely floored though when people are just like, well, I guess I'm not floored, but it's kind of annoying when I just hear people talk about either A, they're posting about how they don't care about the Oscars. It's like, that's great. Then just don't watch them. I don't really care.
Right. Yeah. I never really got that mentality either. It's just like,
I just have fun watching it because as long as they have a good host,
right?
Like, then I'm like, okay, I can just ignore the bullshit. I mean, the musical performances usually I don't want to watch.
Right. But like I like watching these people that, I enjoy seeing on screen and then I pay money to watch, get all dressed up and get handsome and pretty. And, sometimes something super awkward or weird happens, which is always the best part, like Patricia Arquette being drunk or something like that.
Dude, yeah. Like, are you talking about last year or this year?
Yeah, last year.
Because this year, I'm pretty sure she was drunk.
Probably.
Because, like, dude, when she got up there, I don't know if you noticed this, but she got up there and she was, like, saying things wrong and her timing was off and she was, like, misreading things.
Oh, sure. I mean,
and I was just like, oh, my Lord. Like, either she's really nervous or she's just, like, really drunk.
No, I mean, makes sense. I mean, she's always been...
Yeah.
She's great, though.
Super talented woman, but...
Yeah.
I just hope that it's just that she was drinking because she was nervous, and not that that's just like her everyday life is just getting.
I don't know. She's super. I mean, this is not a Jesse is generalizing women kind of thing, but she's kind of loopy.
Yeah. Probably.
I mean, she married Nick Cage, and their whole history is very bizarre, and
she's seen some shit.
Yeah, she's not exactly like all there either. So give just grain of salt. Everything.
But yeah, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, though, I mean, I like to watch that for that reason. Every now and then you get something like, quite frankly, that whole thing where they were redoing the Oscar movies with black people.
Yeah,
it was kind of great.
Yep.
Had Tracy Morgan.
Yep.
The Danish girl.
Yeah.
That was kind of worth it just to see that. Well, number one, I mean, it's fucking Tracy Morgan, and it's been a while since he's like been publicly out.
Yeah, because
the car accident and shit. But just seeing him eating that Danish, like,
yep. Just doing what he does.
And I cannot complain about any year when like Alicia Vikander gets an Oscar.
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys. I mean, I think it was for the wrong movie.
Right.
But but you know that like most of those votes were coming in because of Ex Machina. Like,
right.
You know for a fact that was coming in. I mean, I would have liked to see like Charlize Theron nominated for Mad Max, but again, Cher got an Oscar. Like, come on, spread it around. Because honestly, if we just gave Oscars to like the best actors that are out there, it would just straight up be fucking Meryl Streep every year, and it would be the same people over and over again, right?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. And Kate Winslet.
They do have to work on that shit though, because every fucking year it's like Meryl Streep, Kate Blanchett, and Jennifer Lawrence. Like every fucking year.
Yep.
Either all of them or most of them nominated. And I think this year it was just because I don't know if Meryl Streep was in a movie this year. I think she might have taken a year off. But I don't know. It's it's bullshit. It's all political stuff, and I guess every year I just get tired of hearing people either complain about it or just talk about like they're just realizing that it's bullshit, and it's like, well, it doesn't have to mean that you can't
enjoy
stuff.
it for what it is.
Right. And I mean, and quite frankly, I think that's one problem that we run into with, genre fans and horror fans or whatever, any of those niche groups, is we automatically, a lot of us will assume that movies that aren't, somehow genre related are stuffy and stupid. And that's obviously not the case, right? Like, I don't know. I have no bones about being like, I love Pitch Perfect. You know what I mean? It's this dumb movie in a lot of ways that's directed towards probably like teenage girls, but it's a good movie. It's funny. It's cute. It's sweet. Silver Linings Playbook's one of my favorite movies.
That's just a good movie. I don't care what anybody says.
And that's what I'm saying. But it's like, sometimes it's like you almost feel like people are going to judge you for it, but we shouldn't feel like that. We should just be able to like whatever we like, right?
Yeah, that's how I
comedies can be all right.
Yeah, that's how I usually approach it.
I just am not really a fan of the formulaic bullshit ones that, that are just stupid. But either way, I don't know. I don't really have much more to say about the Oscars. So I think, do you have anything else that you wanted to say about this year's picks?
No, not really. I mean, I thought it was. I mean, I didn't agree with everything, but I thought it was fine for. I mean, I thought it was a pretty good year. I thought it was like I wasn't offended. I think last year too was the same.
I think it was as good as it could have been this year.
Right, exactly. It's just like, well, that's those are all things that I could agree with. So. That's good.
And if anything, this whole controversy at least opened it up so that they're going to be expanding the Academy membership, which should fix in the long run a lot of the problems.
Hopefully.
Because the problem is right now it's basically like an old white dudes club.
Yeah, and then that really.
And the other thing is a lot of these fucking people that are voting for the movies don't actually watch them.
Yeah, that's a very disturbing thing.
They won't even see the movie, but they'll be like, well, I heard Leonardo DiCaprio is fucking amazing in this movie, so I'm gonna vote for him.
That's really weird.
And you're just like, you didn't even somebody posted it up the other day and they were just like, you had one job. I think it might have been Justin, because he's always going off on this stuff. Justin Liberty. He's like, watch the fucking movie. And I'm just like, oh, good luck, man. I mean, and I get it because they get busy and they get all these screeners and shit. But come on, dude, if you're in the Academy, you gotta at least fucking watch the movies you're voting for.
Right.
Come on. So anyway, for everybody out there, in case you didn't notice, Chad obviously dropped off. He was having more technical issues, so he dropped off a while ago, which is a little bit sad because I was waiting for him to like go on some rant so I was gonna play the Oscar playoff music for him. I had it all queued up and everything, and I was just like, yo, I just want to play him off when he starts going on one of his Larry King rants or something. And I didn't get the chance tonight because the connection kept cutting out and he didn't get enough time to go on a rant. So with that being said, I think we'll take a break for a minute and then come back. I want to talk really quick about a couple of things that I've been watching. And Jesse, if you've got any one or two movies or something like that you watched recently that you want to talk about. But I mostly just want to talk about a couple of TV shows that I finally caught up with. And then we can review Gods of Egypt. So
you got it.
All right, so we're going to take a break for a few minutes. So if you are listening live, hang out. And if you're listening to this in the podcast feed, then, it's not going to be a big deal. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes. We will see you then. All right, and we are back. So, sorry, I just had to use that music because I already had it queued up.
That's all right. That's all right.
I was like, I gotta take a break because I was out of beer and I needed to have another beer because can't talk about this movie we're gonna talk about in a little bit without probably having a nice buzz going on beforehand. But we'll get to that. But I wanted to really quickly, before we get into our review for Gods of Egypt tonight, I wanted to talk about, I've got a few things that I've been watching that I wanted to have a discussion on because I don't think we had any discussion last week about that because I was ranting about internet dating and other things. So Jesse, RIP my social life. But did you have anything that you've been watching recently that you wanted to, I guess, discuss quickly or warn people against?
Not really. Well, actually, Gabby and I have been every night pretty much been watching Buffy. She's never seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer, so we have taken it on ourselves to watch the whole series, which I have seen most of. I don't think I've seen the last season, but I've seen most of it because it's one of those shows that X-Files, Buffy, and Star Trek: The Next Generation were sort of at the age or the years of when I was watching. Those are the TV shows that I watched. And so big. I've always really, really loved Buffy, and she has never watched it, but she always thought that she would like it. And after we watched Firefly and watched Serenity, she was like, we should do more Joss Whedon. And I was like, well, why don't we just watch like Buffy? That just show's great. And she's like, all right, okay, fine. And then, we're like halfway through the first season, and it's just like it clicked with her.
I'll be honest, like you got to get through that first season. It's like
the first season's kind of. I mean, it's not like if you like Buffy already, then it's not so bad. But like if you've never watched it before, like there's just like obviously they were trying a lot of things out, and they didn't know if the show was probably going to last, more than a season. So there's not a lot of sort of like world or sort of like show building. It's a lot of like Monster of the Week stuff, which I really like, but a lot, the budget's not really there. The story's not really there yet, but like the writing itself is still pretty strong, which is basically Joss Whedon's overseeing show creating showrunner experience and power. And once we got halfway through the first season, like it totally clicked with her. Like she liked it, but then all of a sudden she really liked it. And now we're almost done with the second season, and she's like all about it. And the second season's where it definitely like it feels like the first real season, because it's where they introduce a lot of the interesting aspects of the show, like Spike's involvement, Angel's involvement more so. Giles's history. Willow begins to get involved with like witchcraft. So like all those like really key features that really play out later in the show. Their inception is there in that second season, and it's really good. It's my favorite episodes are still sort of like the Monster of the Week episodes, but the story is still good, and I really do think that show is a show that you can like when you're younger, and then it holds up really well. Even its effects hold up pretty well for what they are. And big fan of that show, and yeah, so that's what we've been watching. It's just been Buffy like every night when I get home from work.
Did you finish the X-Files?
I did not watch the last episode.
Oh, all right. Well, I guess we'll have to have that conversation later.
I'm so sorry, but yeah,
that was one of the ones I wanted to mention. No, it's all right, man. We can talk.
I have
watch it for next week.
To go, and I just
watch it for next week because I want to get your opinion on how they wrap that up.
I think there's been like some sort of like Freudian blockage where I don't want to finish it because then it'll be finished. Also, I know that Joe McHale's coming back, and I'm like,
well, but, I got some memes that I've been meaning to make on that.
Oh yeah,
I won't bring them up until later, but I'll just say that I enjoyed it, and from what I understand, they're going to probably bring the X-Files back again.
It seems like they renewed it for I don't know for how many more episodes, but it seems that they are it did well enough that they want to do something with it again.
Well, and I think it was more the reason that they didn't have more episodes, and the reason it was as limited as it was and all that is more because everybody's busy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like except for Chris Carter. I mean,
that Chris Carter though.
I don't think he's doing much, but I'll just say that I think that they did a good job. But we'll discuss further after you've seen that. So, the other thing that I've been watching lately.
But did you like the last episode?
I liked it. I mean, it had some problems, but I don't want to get into it because you haven't seen it, and I don't want to. Not that I necessarily don't want to spoil anything, but I would rather to have that conversation when you've actually seen it.
Fair enough.
So I can discuss rather than just tell you.
You got.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
liked it though. I liked pretty much every episode of this 6-season run or 6-show run, except for the first one was the weakest.
First one is super rough, but.
And the one before the last one, the 5th episode, had a few moments that were awkward. But again, I mostly blame Chris Carter for most of the downsides that I've had.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it, like dude created the show and whatnot, but I still think he got lucky and basically turned it over to a bunch of people that knew what they were doing with it better than he does, type thing.
Yeah.
So, and that's okay. That's not a bad thing, right? Sometimes you just need to be that guy who brings the right people together.
And then, just real quick, like there's sort of a correlation between the X-Files and Buffy, right? Like sort of the first season is its own like weird sort of almost great thing, and then once season 2 picks up, it like becomes really good.
Well, and the problem that you have with doing a 6-episode run is you can't really deal with the mythology because those other seasons were all like 22, 24 episodes.
Yeah. Back when that was
the mythology. Well, yeah, and the mythology stuff would only be like every 4th or 5th episode.
Mm-hmm.
So you can mostly, out of those whole 9 seasons that they did, it comes down to what, like maybe like 6 episodes per, so maybe like 50 episodes total.
Mm-hmm.
that are mythology based. And again, I've always thought the X-Files, the mythology stuff was super strong up until about season 7, and then when Duchovny kind of like stepped away, it kind of lost a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I think where they always excelled were the monster of the week and the comedic episodes, and this season just kind of cemented that for me, which is when they're doing that and they're not afraid to be a little bit goofy, that's when the show is actually really good.
That's when it's like, super great. And and people who fucking complain about those episodes they haven't been watching X-Files for very long.
And that's exactly my point, because like I said, one of my friends, she had just started watching it, and I don't know her background on that, but she was like, are they for real? And I'm like, what do you mean? She's just like, well, this is just so like ridiculous. And I was like, yeah, but that's the point. That's why it's awesome.
Right. That's why you watch it.
So, but we can have further discussions once you see that. I don't want to say too much, except for it is obviously heavy mythology episode. They basically are just tying up what they started with the first episode.
Uh-huh.
I think a lot of people, their biggest problem is the ending.
Okay.
And you'll understand when you see it, because I don't want to say anything more. So
right. No, I'll watch it. I've just kind of put it off because I don't want to sort of like.
Well, you got to watch it.
Yeah,
we got to talk.
We'll talk
about it.
Talk.
So there's that. The other show that I have been watching recently, well, I talked about Better Call Saul, I think a couple weeks ago, and that show is still awesome. So I wholeheartedly encourage those of you out there who have AMC, who are fans of Breaking Bad, to please watch Better Call Saul, because I really don't want them canceling it. I don't think it's doing super great. I think that people are watching it, but I don't think that it's kind of like Breaking Bad, where for the first several seasons that it was out, a lot of people didn't watch it. And it was kind of a miracle that show kept going as it did, because I think, honestly, with Breaking Bad, a lot of people didn't get into it until like the last season. And I didn't even start watching that show until I think like the 3rd season. But it's one of those things though where Better Call Saul like needs, and especially because it's a prequel that has a definitive, this is where we're going to, this is where we're going to end up. Like, it needs to be able to say what it wants to say, because if they had to end it early, it would really be meaningless. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, I wholeheartedly encourage people to watch that. But I have I decided that I was like, well, you know what? Like, I'm gonna watch this American Crime Story, People versus O.J. Simpson, which I had zero interest in at first, but then I was like, Ryan Murphy and all that whole thing, and it just looks too ridiculous, like Cuba Gooding Jr. and David Schwimmer as Robert Kardashian. Like, I was like, I mostly don't take things that Ryan Murphy does seriously because I just assume that they're just gonna be out there and borderline ridiculous. Because if you look at American Horror Story, like that's just batshit. Usually, it's usually just so off the wall weird that I couldn't imagine how he would be able to dramatize a real life thing that happened, right? And there's definitely that stylistic black humor that's in there. Like there's obviously a lot of digs at the Kardashians. Like at one point there's just a shot where the entire Kardashian family, like all of the, Kim and fucking, I don't know, all the rest of them. I don't remember their names. Chloe, I think, is one. But they're all like sitting around the TV, and when they see like their father on TV at the trial, I think it is, they just start chanting Kardashian, and it's obviously played as like a joke. And there's a lot of that goes on in the show. Like the show is pretty. Have you seen it at all?
No, I have not.
Okay, well the show is pretty straightforward as far as just the fact that they're just showing you like what happened with the trial and some of the behind the scenes stuff, which is kind of interesting because, I grew up during that whole thing. I think I was in high school when the whole O.J. Simpson thing happened. And, I didn't follow it really, but it really was that was really the beginning of reality TV, right? Because that's when court TV was just starting, and I think it was like the first fully televised trial where like you could just sit down and watch the entire thing. And so it was this big thing because it was a celebrity who was being accused, or I think he did it, but this celebrity who was being accused of this horrible double murder.
Grisly. He basically, or whomever, but we'll say he basically
the guy wrote a book that was called If I Did It.
Yeah, and he basically almost decapitated Nicole Brown. Like, if you see those photos, like her fucking neck is ready to just be completely removed.
Yeah, he fucking did a number.
Yeah, it's gross. Really gross.
And they don't shy away from that stuff, but you had this situation where it was a celebrity being accused of doing this horrible shit. And also something that I never really considered when I was in high school, but this wasn't that long after the whole Rodney King thing. So there was very much and this is, I guess, kind of related to what we're talking about with the Oscars, but there was very much a race thing that was going on. And part of me wonders if the whole decision, because there's obviously some politics and stuff in there, but a lot of the way that they tackled some of this stuff, they were worried because they're like, well, this is in California and Los Angeles, right? Like, and the police there are not known for being nice to black people. And you have these white police officers that are arresting this black celebrity. So there was this whole thing where they were almost like worried that like, if he is found guilty, we will probably have riots again. Because the whole Rodney King thing was pretty awful. I'm assuming you're probably too young to really remember that.
No, but I know about it. But yeah, no,
right.
I don't remember anything about it.
And that's what I'm saying is I never really thought of it in that context because I was a kid, right? Like, I think when that happened, I was like 13. And when you're like 13, you're not, well, I guess I wasn't really, and even now, like, I don't think race is I don't think it should be a big deal. I get it. and I know why it is, and I know why this stuff exists, but I just see people and I'm like, you're not a black person or a white person, you're just a person.
Right, but
you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you see that, and I see that, but there are a lot of people who
Oh, and I get
very
that.
constantly do not see that, and very
But especially when you're a kid, right? Like my kid, he's like 5, right? And well, he's going to be 5 this year. But let's just say, I mean, and I think this is, again, like we were talking about, with time this stuff goes away. Like I really feel like when my kid grows up, I don't think it's going to be as weird to be like, oh, I have friends that are gay, or like I have friends that aren't white.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because that's how it goes. But even back then, like I wasn't really thinking about that, but I guess it was actually, a big thing that was going on with it, and it makes sense to me now that I'm watching it. But it's weird because there's all this like serious social commentary in the show, but it's also coupled with like some really bad soap opera dialogue that happens.
Sure.
And there's a whole bunch of people that are cast in the show that are good at what they do in the show, but they look nothing like the people. So it almost looks like you're watching a parody of it, except it's serious.
The Lifetime version.
Yeah, but it's like if the Lifetime version was good, because I can't stop watching it.
Who plays Kato Kalin? Kato
God,
Kalin.
I don't remember his name, but he's a fucking character.
Yeah, he's
in that
something.
show. But I highly recommend it. They got, oh God, I'm blanking on her name all of a sudden, but Sarah Paulson to play the prosecutor, the famously white lady prosecutor with the bad hair, who was always looked at as just being this like stuck up bitch. Courtney B. Vance is Johnny Cochran in the show, and he looks like Johnny Cochran, and he is fucking amazing. Like that guy needs to get an Emmy for this show or a Golden Globe or something, because he's fucking perfect in it. And Cuba Gooding Jr. is basically, I made a joke that nobody told me that The People versus O.J. Simpson was really just a sequel, or a sequel to Jerry Maguire, because he's basically playing
that character, but locked up.
Well, like when he just starts yelling and shit and he starts having his fits, like he's I mean, think about it. He was a football player in that movie.
Right.
And he was like a crazy, like, I'm famous football player guy. And in this, he's an I'm famous football player guy who has no concept of the fact that he should be held accountable for something
right
that he may or may not have done. And again, my personal belief is that he probably did it, but the guy was found innocent. I just have a real big problem when you're in criminal court and you get found innocent, but then in civil court you get found guilty of wrongful death.
Right.
And I get it. There's evidence in what they did, and that's also what's kind of fascinating about it. But it's just such a weird fucking show. And also, the other thing about it is, I mean, there's been 5 episodes so far. One of them, they definitely dropped an F-bomb. And then the other episode, that's the most infamous, because this is like a primetime TV show, they end the episode with Sarah Paulson's character calling Johnny Cochran a motherfucker. And this was not beeped out. Like, they said it. And I'm just like, good for you. Like, primetime cable doing what you should be doing and being like, hey, it's just a fucking word. Deal with it. And they're like really just trying to push buttons with the show, with what they're showing. And I'm fine with it because I'm all for that, right? But it's well made. It's weird. It's got this weird vibe to it when you're watching it, but I'll be damned if it's not engaging. And I kind of like the idea of them being like, hey, every season we take a real life crime case and dramatize it, because they can actually give it some weight. I mean, there's some other, I mean, they could do like Jeffrey Dahmer or something like that, right? Like, I'm not saying they should, but I would watch it. and I think people should check it out if you haven't watched it yet. But speaking of Ryan Murphy, the other show that I'm super late to the party on, but I'm watching now. Did you watch Scream Queens at all?
This is a funny story. Gabrielle loves Scream Queens, and she's all about it. And I've seen it sort of like intermittently, like I've seen episodes of it, and I thought it looked pretty good. But I didn't get I didn't watch all of it. I don't really know what's going on altogether. But she was all about that show.
Well, I highly recommend that you sit down and watch it. I'm on like episode 10 at this point. I think there's like 13. 12 or 13, so I'm almost done with it. But it is, I think the best way that I've been able to describe this is kind of like someone took Heathers and mixed it with Clueless, and mixed it with Scream, and then mixed it with a trauma movie.
I mean, from what I've seen of it, that seems pretty accurate.
It's like just fucking all over the place with what it does, but it's because it's got that. It's weird because it has that like biting black humor that Heathers had, but it's also got that weird like rich people jokiness of Clueless.
Yeah, the Ivy League-ish sort of. Yep.
And it's got the weird like slasher comedy stuff. But also knowing what a slasher movie is and what, knowing the horror genre and doing kind of like a parody of it.
Right.
But also being an actual horror movie that Scream did so well. And then it's just got the trauma stuff because there's just like jokes about people having sex with goats and terrible dialogue that's all like completely delivered seriously.
Right.
And it's just kind of batshit, and I kind of really love it, and I hope that I don't know if they're doing a second season of it, but I would love to watch a second season of it with like an all new, because I'm assuming since it's like a Ryan Murphy joint that they're probably just going to have a whole new story. That's my assumption, because that seems to be what he does with most of his TV shows. Is he is just like, well, each season is its own thing, and we'll just kind of have this aesthetic that we use for it. And I would watch it, and I think the cast is great. I mean, I'm super happy watching Jamie Lee Curtis in it. There's some inside baseball jokes on the stuff, like a lot of references that she does. She basically reenacts the shower scene from Psycho that her mother did at one point. Who else is in it is fucking Emma Roberts is in it, and she's great in the show. You have just a bunch of other character actors. Fucking Abigail Breslin shows up, and you're just like, you don't look like you fit here, but okay. But there's just a lot of other character actors that show up on the show, and a lot of super ridiculous humor. And I guess a lot of people were super upset when the show was on that because of the racial stuff that was going on and some other things. But that was kind of the whole point. Like, people were calling it racist and stuff, and I'm like, no, that's just the characters. The characters are dumb. Right. And yes, the characters are racist, but like, I mean, some of the black characters on the show are the best ones. Like, so I know if you haven't watched it out there, like, I think you should check it out. I've had a lot of fun with it, and I would totally watch another season of it. So, and you too, Jesse, you should watch it at some point.
No, I mean, it's been sort of.
I figure, but I get it. But
Gabby just, she absolutely loved it, and when I saw of it, she's right. I mean, it's sort of a show for me, and it looked really good. I liked its humor and its attitude, but I just never got around to just watching all the seasons. And by the time that I kind of was interested in it and like watching the episodes with her, it was just too far behind to catch up. But yeah,
well, it works really well as a binge watching. I mean, we're in that era, right? And it's almost like nowadays, a lot of the times, unless I'm really worried about something getting spoiled for me, you know what I mean? Like if it's a show like like Breaking Bad or like The Walking Dead, where it's a lot of people watch it live, and it's like I'm not going to be able to wait for 4 months because there's like 16 episodes or whatever to watch this. Like I usually just wait, and I'm like, I'll just watch these all one after the other because in some ways they work better, but it's definitely made for binge watching because it's totally ADD in a lot of ways and picks up right where it left off. And I don't know, it's worked out. I've just been watching it at the gym. So, because I ran out of movies to catch up on because there's not really a whole ton of good movies coming out for me to rent on VOD. Hence why I ended up watching The Wizard last weekend. I ended up purchasing The Wizard on Vudu in 1080p.
Wow.
Because Chad came over and we were talking about The Wizard, and then I was like, I really want to watch that. And I was like,
why?
I don't have that. And then I was like, I don't want to spend $10 on the DVD. So I spent $13 on a HD download.
And was it worth it?
Yes.
Yeah.
But you got to remember, Jesse, I grew up watching that. Like when that movie came out, like I think like 8 years old or 9 years old or something.
It's very
I was the audience for that movie because I was the one who was like waiting for, like, I was like, yo, I heard they show Super Mario Brothers 3 in this. If you were me,
right,
you would have been just as on board with that movie.
It was definitely like a timestamp movie.
Oh, for sure. But it works. Like if you grew up in that time period, it works, except for when you watch the adults play Nintendo games, you're just like, man, adults didn't know how to play Nintendo games. Because they would do the thing where they would, well, but when they would jump, they would like, it's weird because it's like Nintendo realized that like old people, when they were playing it, they would like put the controller up when they were jumping.
Right.
And so they were like, let's make the Wii. So you actually have to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly how that works and still works to some extent.
But yeah, I mean, good movie, but I'm not going to talk about that. Except for the fact that I just found out that the dude who has the power glove in that movie totally got arrested for doing things with young kids.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's kind of a downer. Especially since Chad has such a boner for that movie, and I think at one point he was trying to track that dude down, and I'm just like, you really don't want to track that guy down, Chad. I just found out that he got arrested for touching kids.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
our friend Justin Giallo. You know him? Yeah, he posted up the link to the dude's like mugshot and arrest record. And I was like, I tagged Chad in it, and I was like, somebody should tell Chad to stop trying to get this guy's autograph. And Chad never responded, which told me that like his dreams were probably crushed.
He was deeply affected by all of it.
Probably, but good movie, California. But that's really all I got for TV shows. I've just been watching a lot of TV, and I just kind of wanted to touch on those because I, quite frankly, didn't expect to like most of those shows. And I really did. So figured I'd recommend them. So you want to talk about Gods of Egypt?
Do I want to, or should we?
Both.
Sure.
All right. So we're going to take a break for like 30 seconds here. And then we're going to talk about Gods of Egypt. So
I got to read
What?
Okay, well, if you got to do that, then we'll take a break for a couple minutes. So
yeah,
hang out, and we will be back to talk about Gods of Egypt in a minute. So don't go anywhere.
Shit. All that motherfucking mercy. This bitch is beeping the motherfucking shit out of me, dog. What the fuck this bitch get my motherfucking... Oh, hell no. This bitch must have got my motherfucking number about my nigga people when he was sleeping. The person ass bitch beeping the shit out of me, man. Every time I turn around, this motherfucking people going, I'm finna throw this motherfucking beep out the motherfucking window.
She's a two-way freak, a two-way freak. She going through your people when she knowing you asleep. She's a two-way bitch, a two-way bitch. She wasting up your characters, ain't talking about shit. She's a two-way freak, a two-way two-way freak. She beaming up your boys for her own private creep. She's a two-way bitch, a two-way bitch. She wasting up your characters, ain't talking about shit. Now don't you really hate when somebody be two-waying you? And plus you knowing for a fact that you ain't gave them the number 2. She just a groupie asshole that's all up on your ground. Wasting characters, putting shit like you was on my mind. I'm hitting back like, look at lil' mama, you wasting your time. And plus the scat tattoo fucking hassle, don't be wasting mine. Especially ones with the pages that be unlimited. They do you wrong, cause they feel, cause they the same you dig. They some two-way freaks, and they out the web. Hit you up like 4 in the morning, you be like, goddamn, but when you riding down the street, side to side, cause this whole back to wreck, I'm about to throw this Motorola out the window. I'm getting tired of this. Bitch, what you want from me? Gave you to my dog, but you still beat the shit out of me. All in front of your man, claiming you talking to your girl. He don't know, cause you specialize in this. Use a two-way hoe for sure. She's a two-way freak, a two-way freak. She going through your people when she knowing you asleep. She's a two-way bitch, a two-way bitch. She wasting up your characters, ain't talking about shit. She's a two-way freak, a two-way freak. She beaming up your boys for her own private creep. She's a two-way bitch, a two-way bitch. She wasting up your characters, ain't talking about shit.
They call me the juice, the known chicken lover, a gigolo at night that's always in trouble. I cruise around the city, I'm rolling up the sticky. I'm riding 22s and I love big titties. Gel and weed, gel and weed. Is she from the hood? Is she down with me? She got gel and weed, gel and weed. With a big round ass, I'm your man to be. As I'm rolling down the block, a player got a beat that said,
I wanna fuck.
A two-way freak. Her name is Rhonda Perry, who works at the dairy. Her chewing is the bomb, but her face looks scary. I'm pushing down the street, trying to make it to her house. And then I got a beat from a freak named Minnie Mouse. They call her Minnie Mouse, she live in pepper trees. She eat a lot of cheese, if you hit it, she a squeak. She's a
two-way freak, a two-way freak. She going through your people when she knowing you asleep. She's a two-way bitch, a two-way bitch. She wasting up your characters, ain't talking about shit. She's a two-way freak, a two-way freak. She beaming up your boys for her own private creep. She's a two-way bitch, a two-way bitch. She wasting up your characters, ain't talking about shit.
Early in the morning, my two-way is jumping with the petty ones, some boys that ain't want nothing. Wasting up my characters, you don't have to pay for this. I ain't got no time for no what you doing messages. Going to the bathroom, two-way on the TV. Come back, kiss my baby daddy, trying to see who's beeping me. Dog, that's a no-no. Get your stuff, you gotta go. Scrolling through my two-way, it's like scrolling through my cash flow. Look, chat in the club, boys, they be trying to holler, don't know how to act. Got a two-way on the collar, asking, can you get a beat? Hell no, not at all. You will be that dude to make me throw my tongue into the wall. I use it for business, sometimes it's for pleasure. I can make exceptions when you wanna spin that cheddar. If you wanna hit me up, make sure that it's worth a hit, or you would not get responded. I don't mess with two-way tricks.
She's a two-way freak, a two-way freak. She going through your people when she knowing you asleep. She's a two-way bitch, a two-way bitch. She wasting up your characters, ain't talking about shit. She's a two-way freak, a two-way freak. She beaming up your boys for her own private creep. She's a two-way bitch, a two-way bitch. She wasting up your characters, ain't talking about shit.
Monsters and gods. Come, demon! Choose your friends wisely.
Try to keep up.
And know when to run.
That worked great. Let's go again.
On February 26th.
Are you sure you're not a god? What would I be the god of? The impossible.
Gods of Egypt. Rated PG-13. Starts February 26th.
And we are back to talk about that movie, with that movie being Gods of Egypt. But I would much rather be talking about the 3-6 Mafia that we were listening to. Right, Jesse?
Yeah, I would. 3-6 Mafia was a good thing. The Grammy Award winning, I believe.
Academy Award winning.
Sorry, Academy Award winning.
They even started off. So one of the best things ever about, since we were talking about the Oscars earlier, one of the best things ever, and probably the best moment that I'll ever have in my life, was watching them accept that award, because they had no fucking clue that they were going to win. They were like completely out of the loop on that. That was some ridiculousness that came out of nowhere, where they're just like, give it to them because we're just going to completely snub the movie that they're in. That's great. Hustle and Flow, by the way.
Right.
Amazing movie. You should all watch that and pretty much watch everything Craig Brewer did, except maybe you want to skip the Footloose remake. I didn't watch it, so I can't really say. At some point, I probably should. But Black Snake Moan and Hustle and Flow are fucking phenomenal.
Hustle and Flow is great.
But just the fact that, like, when they won, and by the way, on that song "Hard Out Here for a Pimp" is what's her name, who's on Empire now? That Taraji P. Henson, right? Is that her name?
Yep, sure.
But anyway. Great fucking movie. And the fact of when they got up to do their award speech, because they did the song and then they gave out the Oscar and then they won immediately, and those dudes had way more enthusiasm about winning an Oscar than pretty much anybody else I've ever seen. I don't even think they knew what an Oscar was. So great time. But anyway, their album that came out after that was Most Known Unknowns, which is a great record. And the whole thing starts out with, 3-6 Academy Award winning. Like, it's pretty great. So anyhow, we are here to talk about Gods of Egypt, which is a movie that came out last Friday, as that TV spot that I played said, February 26th. Didn't do very well at the box office, I don't believe. I don't know the numbers right offhand, but I can find those. It looks like it did. Let's see here. What the fuck did I end up with?
It did like 15 on the weekend, but I don't know.
Well, so here's the thing. It did like 14 million over the weekend on like 3,000 screens, but the movie cost $140 million.
Yep. That's a lot of money in
That's almost as much as Star Wars cost.
And Star Wars made all the money.
Yes, well, Star Wars is now up to like almost $1 billion domestic, which is fucking bananas, by the way. But yeah, it did 15 million on a 140 million budget. And just to put it into perspective, Deadpool did 31 million last weekend on a $58 million budget. So literally a third of the budget, and it did over twice the box office in its third week? Third week? Yeah, third week. So wow. Not good. It's probably gonna lose some money. Lionsgate, RIP.
RIP Lionsgate. But they got that Hunger Games money.
Yeah, that's true. They'll probably still be around, but yeah, it's a thing. And I guess the big thing for me was, so the movie was written and directed by Alex Proyas, who probably best known for Dark City. Well, it's probably best
for knowing.
Well, no, he's probably best known for directing The Crow, which a lot of people seem to be hating on these days, but I still think it's a fucking great movie. And
I think it's a very good movie that I don't like as much as everybody else does, but I think it's pretty good.
But here's the other thing.
I think
but when it came out, how old were you, Jesse?
Oh, I didn't even see it when it came out.
Okay,
I was
dude, I remember not sneaking in. I remember like buying a ticket for a different movie and then going to see it when it came out because it was rated R and I wasn't old enough to go yet. And I just remember that soundtrack was like the best thing ever because it had like 9 Inch Nails and Pantera and fucking Ministry and just like all of these like industrial and like metal bands. Stone Temple Pilots song, Big Empty, was on there. Come on, dude. That's a tune. But I remember like all of that, and I just have I think for me, honestly, a lot of my love for The Crow is probably nostalgic. I think it's a good movie, but I think the reason that I think it's great is, again, like we were talking about The Wizard earlier. It's probably the same reason, right? But either way, he did that. He did Dark City, which I don't think anybody can deny is a phenomenal movie.
Very, very good movie.
It's super heady, weird, like film noir.
Ron Perlman shows up.
Yeah, it's like this weird like sci-fi film noir. It's almost like fits in really well with like stuff like Blade Runner.
Definitely.
Maybe a little bit of Metropolis in there.
Yeah.
But you know, it's definitely one of those movies that definitely film nerds are, you know, super big on. But so I hadn't really heard of him doing a whole lot. I mean, I guess he did. You said he did Knowing, and he's probably done some other stuff, but I saw his name on this and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense because this trailer looks like garbage. Like this trailer looks like this movie is just insane. Right?
Right.
I mean,
no, it looks ridiculous.
Nobody knew this movie was coming out, and then that trailer came out the end of last year, I think.
Yep. And I was like, man, that looks like a January, February movie.
And everybody's like, that movie looks like garbage, but like, is that like weird CGI Anubis guy with fire coming out of him? Like
wings, there's like giant scarabs in the background, and it's what's the fuck's going on?
Things are blowing up and like people are jumping around, and then Gerard Butler shows up and of course he's got no shirt on and
he's got a Scottish accent in Egypt.
Yeah, and you're just like, what is happening? And quite frankly, you know, the reason we're reviewing it is A, because what the fuck? But B, I mean, there really wasn't anything else new that came out last week. I mean, there was some other. We're not going to be sitting here reviewing Eddie the Eagle, which is probably a better movie, even though I have zero interest in watching it. But it's like we could watch that, or I guess we could have watched 999. But I don't really know very much about that. But you know, I mean, Gods of Egypt seems to fit in. It's this weird action movie, and quite frankly, like I knew it looked bad, but I was hoping it would be so bad that it was special. So I was like, we'll just watch this. And so we kind of agreed, and we were like, all right, we'll watch this.
But boy.
And yeah, that happened. So I guess for those of you out there who haven't seen the movie, which if I look at those numbers,
most of you haven't.
Probably most of you. Do you want to tell people what Gods of Egypt is about, Jesse?
So it's sort of in this,
what it's about.
It's in this like alternate universe where the gods of Egypt are actual beings that are that look human, but they're like bigger than, they're like taller than normal people, and they have gold as blood.
So I just want to say before we, I don't mean to cut you off, but
right.
But since you're mentioning that, I didn't even realize that they were giants. Until about halfway through the movie.
Wow. See, that really, that's like the deal breaker though.
Because they didn't really hammer that home because they were so far away from everybody else.
Right.
Most of the time. And
yeah, that was like a problem on their end because they probably had to film it like that.
Well, and until you see like weird CGI enhanced Jaime Lannister like grabbing the guy and picking him up, and you're like, wait a minute, why is he so big? Because they both look the same size in all these other shots.
So yeah, so basically you have geez, I forget their names now. But Set is the brother who's mad at his other brother Osiris, right?
Yes.
I'm pretty bad with Egyptian.
A whole bunch of people. So Osiris was Brian Brown,
right?
He's the dude from Effects, isn't he? Yeah, he was the guy who was in like Cocktail and movie FX from back in. He's like old school. He's been around forever.
And Osiris and Set
You had Isis.
Yeah.
You had Set.
But Set and Osiris are the sons of Ra. I believe that's how that works. Right?
Well, yeah, Ra is the sun god.
Right, and he's on his little his sun spaceship, and he hooks the sun, which is a part of Egyptian mythology, which is as bizarre as it seems for the movie, is pretty accurate. But so I believe it's Osiris has the king, one half of the kingdom. Set has the other, and Osiris has the nice part of the kingdom with all the people and the fruit of the land, sort of like a Cain and Abel story, right? And then Set is king of the desert, and he's sort of banished. He doesn't have much, just like Cain eventually ends up. And then Set decides to, when Osiris is going to anoint Horus, his son, to be the new ruler of the kingdom, Set shows up with his homies, and they basically lay waste to everybody. They kill Osiris, and they rip out Horus's eyes, and they banish Horus. And in the middle of all of this is a mortal by the name of Beck, who is he wants to, I don't know, the whole thing is weird because it's like there's this weird like poverty like class thing that they kind of throw in there, where Osiris believed that people who give people who are poor but give, and people who are rich that give, they will go into, they will cross the river of Styx or whatever it is successfully in the underworld and have a good time. But then Set like shows up, changes the rules, basically says that like you have to be mad rich, or you have to give me mad money to get into the underworld or whatever it is. And so then basically people are like, oh, not about that. So then there's a whole other thing. It's really long-winded, because then there's
super convoluted.
There's this mortal named Beck, and he has his girlfriend named Zaya or Zala or something.
Yeah, it was like Zaya.
Something like that. And she's
just like, look at me, I was in Mad Max and I'm cute.
Yeah, and then she gets killed at some point. And he makes a deal. And Beck ends up stealing one of Horus's eyes from Set's treasury or vault.
Yeah, he's like, they keep it in this weird shit that looks like the fucking thing from the Hobbit movies.
Right.
The cave of like the treasures.
Right. And
apparently they just put it there and booby trapped it, so that because they knew somebody would try to get it.
Because they knew somebody's gonna steal Horus's eye. Because
here's the fucking thing I don't understand. Like, Set is like, yo, if I have that, I get magic powers. So why the fuck did he hide it away to begin with, and why didn't he just use it?
I don't know. And then, and so then Beck steals the eye. Then his girlfriend dies. And then he drums up like this deal with Horus to save Zaya, to bring her back. And Horus basically comes back to his former home and tries to take it back from Set. And then the ending is so fucking stupid. It's just like all these things happen, and it's really hard to explain what happened because there's so many things going on and none of it's really interesting.
I'll be honest. When I watched this movie, I had no idea what was going on most of the time.
No, it's pretty bad at explaining what's going on. It's
for a movie. So first off, this movie's over 2 hours long.
2 hours and 7 minutes.
And it's very confusing because they're talking about all this stuff, and there's all these side plots that don't really probably make any sense unless you're a scholar on Egyptian mythology.
So I had this thought while I was watching, because I'm like, I'm not super aware of Egyptian mythology, but I know enough of it.
I know a little.
But there's this really cool book, guys, if you read, that I read years ago that while I was in the theater that I had to Google it while I was watching the movie because thankfully there was nobody else with me because I would never take my phone out and look at something on my screen if somebody else was in the theater.
Yeah,
because
I was gonna say, like, I was really super surprised because you were texting me while you were at the theater. I was.
Oh yeah, I would never do that under normal circumstances. If there was anybody in the theater,
but if you're by yourself, it's fair game, man.
Yeah, and let's be honest, like you saw that movie, and come on, like I'm not.
Well, as soon as you texted me, I was just like, oh my god, I know exactly what's. But we'll have a discussion because there's
things to be discussed.
So I swear that I saw that this movie was quote unquote written and directed by Alex Proyas, but apparently he didn't. Well, no, apparently he didn't write it.
What?
I swear that in the credits he got a credit, but on IMDb there's two other guys' names.
Well, that makes kind of.
Well,
he's taking all the credit, and then maybe he had ghostwriters or something.
Do you want to know their other writing credits, which make all of this make sense?
Go on.
Dracula Untold. And The Last Witch Hunter.
Well, all right. Well, so that kind of makes sense as to the.
Because that explains why this movie is garbage.
That explains why this movie is like a really bad video game, which I'll get into later. But I was saying that if you have any interest in Greek mythology,
Egyptian mythology.
Sorry, Egyptian mythology.
You're just mixing the whole wrong race.
And you want like a fantastical twist to it? I read this book years ago. And by years, I mean like probably 6 years ago.
Was it written by Dan Brown?
It wasn't written by Dan Brown. It was called The Age of Ra. And it was all about like, it's like the science fiction, like wars going on the planet in the future, but everything's being controlled by the Egyptian gods. And there's alternating chapters and it's told from, so you remember like Ra's spaceship in the movie?
Yeah.
Okay, so like all the gods are up on that ship, like Anubis and all this, and they're all like fighting the whole time. So it's kind of like the Greek god thing, where like the Greek gods would basically fight on Mount Olympus and like cause like shit to go down on Earth. That's what this book was like, and that's all I could think about when I was watching this. And then I was like wishing I was doing like reading a book rather than watching this movie because it's not very good. It's not good at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think my opinion is already out there. I think that this movie's terrible.
So the way I saw it is that, and you mentioned when I was texting you, it has like PS2 graphics.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or it's like for its CG, which is pretty accurate. But the way I felt about it when I was watching, I felt like Alex Proyas watched or he played like a bunch of like action adventure PS2 games. And then he got really high, and then he wrote a script, which in theory and on paper sounds like super fun and fascinating, but like only to the person who made it, because once you go to watch it, it's really boring and it doesn't make any sense.
It could have been okay.
It really could have been.
So this movie could have been okay if it fully committed to the batshit ridiculousness of what was going on, but the problem was. And this is the problem that I see with this movie across the board, is that it never fully commits to that, in that it still feels like it thinks it has something to say.
Right,
Number one,
it's smart,
and it's competently made for such a piece of garbage. As weird as that sounds, like you watch this and yeah, there's some bad CGI, and yeah, there's this and there's that, but it's competently directed, but it's all of the problems with this movie are completely in concept and casting and writing, that there's nothing that anybody could have done to make this a good movie.
Right. Nobody could save this from the script that was handed to them. And it's beyond me that the studio...
Well, I was going to say, unless they parodied themselves,
right,
which is what would have made this good if they were just like, hey, we're going to make this movie and it's a piece of shit. But you know what? We know it's a piece of shit. So, yeah.
But the thing is, like, the studio obviously had so much faith in this from the beginning,
Look at that cast, man.
but Jeffrey
look at the people they got
Rush.
in this. I don't know. So they got Jeffrey Rush. They got I mean, Brian Brown's not like a big huge name, but he's been around forever. They got fucking Gerard Butler, Chadwick Boseman. Isn't this fucking Rufus Sewell shows up in here? And again, like, these aren't necessarily all like super big name actors, but they're all well known if you know these character actors. And you know, they got a Game of Thrones guy, which means that they paid some money, because I don't even know how to say that dude's name, but they basically got Jaime Lannister.
Oh yeah, the Scandinavian guy.
He's from Denmark.
Is he Scandinavian? Denmarkian.
Yeah, he's Nikolaj Coster-Waldau or something. Like, he's got some
Also,
crazy...
another perfect example of Game of Thrones actors just taking on really bad roles.
Like, in general, and I challenge any of you out there can you think of a movie post Game of Thrones that has had a Game of Thrones actor in it that has been good?
Yeah, Honeymoon, and
okay, I'll give you that.
And Let Us Pray.
Okay. Yeah, but those guys, they're like bit parts in those. Like,
yeah, I mean,
I'm thinking mostly like Natalie Dormer and even fucking Jesus. What the hell's her name? All of a sudden, I'm blanking on it. No, you know, if anything, I would say that out of
Lena
most
Headey?
of these movies, Lena Headey or whatever.
Lena Headey, yeah.
Her fucking movies have been awful. Like,
I would say as a general rule, they've all been really bad.
Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Like, I would rather watch Terminator Genesis again. I'll be honest. And here's the thing, like, I bought that movie. So
oh boy.
Oh, dude, I kind of like that movie a little bit.
Well,
like, would you rather watch Terminator Genesis or would you rather watch Gods of Egypt?
Well, I mean, that's a no contest.
No, it's not. You were scoffing at it, so come on.
Well,
like, come on.
I mean, in that context, yes, I would rather watch.
Exactly. But would you argue to say that out of the recent crop, like in the past year or so that these people have been turning out, that movie isn't like a fucking masterpiece compared to everything else that these fucking people are putting out? Besides, okay, like Honeymoon was good. I didn't even realize that was the same girl because I had saw Honeymoon before I ever watched Game of Thrones.
So you didn't know it was
the Wildling.
The Wildling lady.
Yeah, the red-haired Wildling. No, I didn't.
She likes to have her oral sex from Jon Snow.
But for the most part, like, I mean, that movie is like heads and shoulders above most of these other fucking movies that we've been seeing. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, like, for me, like, Terminator Genesis is like a really kind of dumb movie that just is more frustrating than anything. Gods of Egypt is just like super boring.
Yeah, and that's the biggest problem with it. Like, for something that's so fucking nuts, it shouldn't be so boring.
And there's like these like really bad like CG like bullmen that are fighting Jaime Lannister on a waterfall, and you're like, what video game is this from? Which kind of ties in. I mean, I haven't seen the last.
Throw the guy off the waterfall, and then he catches the guy on the waterfall, and then they scale the waterfall, and then they jump in the waterfall.
And it's like they, you know, it's like Alex Proyas like played like God of War or something, and then he wanted to make a movie. But I mean, in terms of like, you know, you mentioned the writers, like Dracula Untold totally has that like video gamey like weird thing that happens, that like where Dracula basically turns into a video game character like halfway in, and he's just like, it's nuts. And I guess and I haven't seen The Last Witch Hunter, but I'm guessing it sort of has that feel.
Dude, it's bad. Like, and that's another one that has Game of Thrones because it's got the chick from Honeymoon in it. Like, she's the main, I guess, quote unquote love interest in the movie. And that's another movie that I was like, oh, you could have a field day. You want to talk about like women's studies. Like, every fucking woman in The Last Witch Hunter is a decrepit old hag who is literally the embodiment of evil. There's so many things that are wrong with that movie on every level. And again, it could have been fun, but it's almost like they took it so seriously. It's like when you take something that's that I guess like B movie ish, and you take it super seriously and put a whole bunch of money into it, and spend a whole bunch of money on like getting actors to be in it, it's just not gonna be good. I don't know. This movie was so frustrating because it was so boring. And I mean, I don't, like you said, there was nobody else in the theater with you. I had one guy in the theater when I went to see it. And granted, I mean, it was like a Thursday night at like 10 o'clock, I think, 11 o'clock. So it was late showing. There was one other guy. There was some old Asian guy. And I came in because I came in like right as the movie was starting because I was a little bit late getting there. And this dude was up in the front row, which is usually where I sit. Because there's like there's a whole bunch of seats, and then there's like a section that's back because it's the stadium seating. So I usually sit down up towards the front because I can put my feet up on the thing and kind of stretch out. And this dude was out, like he was all comfortable in that seat that I probably would have taken already. Motherfucker had his shoes off and his socks off. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, you don't take your shoes and socks off in this fucking movie theater. You're going to get some weird shit on your feet. But he didn't give a fuck. And I swear, like, I thought he was, like, just sleeping in the theater for most of the movie.
I mean, I kind of wanted to do that. I mean, obviously, I was texting you.
Oh, it was bad. It was bad, man.
Listen, I don't take my phone out.
Was that yesterday or today?
Yes, that was yesterday.
Yesterday?
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I was by myself.
No, I was just trying to remember because I know you were texting me, but I was at the gym. And I was just like, oh God. And the texts just started coming in. They just kept coming in.
I know. But it's one of those bad movies that kind of makes you not want to watch a movie for a while. Because it's just so bad. It's so unappetizing, and it just kind of turns you off to watching
Jesse,
a movie.
What's wrong with having characters called fussy older maidservant and first young maidservant and second younger maidservant?
It's pretty bad.
Yeah. Fucking yeah. I don't even know where to go with this because there's not a lot to say about this. Except, I mean, I feel bad just being like, oh, this movie's garbage. But I can't even really begin to pick apart the problems besides saying that obviously there's an issue because the script is bad. The characters are dumb. They've got like two stories going on here. And there's the story with the mortal that I don't understand why it's even there.
Why it's even important?
Well, he has to like help the god. So I guess I kind of get that. But then there's this whole side thing about the mortal and like he's trying to like bring his girlfriend back from the dead because she got like hit with a spear or some shit.
Yeah, and then I mean the way the movie ends, it's so stupid because it acts like everything is so dire and then everything just wraps up so nicely. It's so stupid. I hate it.
Well, and literally, if you're taking the mythology at 100% face value, the stakes are the entire world or entire humanity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if the bad god wins, then he's just gonna like enslave all of the people, which is what they're supposed to be doing. But you never give a crap. Because you're always just like, oh, Jesus. Like, every time Gerard Butler shows up, you're just like, yo, you're just, like, all about rape.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very rapey character. It's very uncomfortable. And,
is that just, like, all this dude does? Like, every time I see him in a movie, he just kind of comes out and he's like, look, I'm just a fucking Neanderthal. Like...
Except when he plays the dad in How to Train Your Dragon.
Well, yeah, but have you seen the reviews that started coming in for London is Falling?
Oh yeah, they've been pretty like epically bad.
They've been very much like this dude is a Neanderthal, and I'm like, I guess I could see that. And I don't know if that movie comes out this week.
It does. Yeah, this Friday.
Yeah, I don't. How does that guy get 2 movies coming out within a week of each other that both sound like utter garbage? I mean, Olympus Has Fallen was crap too.
I didn't see that
I
because that came out the same time as White House Down, and I'm like, I'm gonna watch White House Down with C. Tates and Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, I would have chosen that too.
And that movie wasn't great, but it was fine, and it was the movie that I expected and deserved. That was a Roland Emmerich joint too, White House Down.
Oh. Yeah, Olympus Has Fallen was just like, oh god, I don't even know. It's like, I'm trying to remember who directed it. It was it was fucking Antoine Fuqua.
Okay.
And you would think that it would be like reasonable because it had like fucking Morgan Freeman and Aaron Eckhart in it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, I don't know. It's almost like they just took they obviously took like the Die Hard formula and put it in. I mean, I guess it was R-rated, so there's that. But it's like super violent and just in general not really that good. And quite frankly, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, I think most of Antoine Fuqua's movies are completely overrated. Like, I don't know, even Southpaw, it's not that good, and people love it. But anyway, this is an Antoine Fuqua cast.
That's a movie.
He is directing a documentary on Suge Knight, though.
All right.
Suge Knight. Suge. I don't know why I call him Suge.
Running people.
What? You just broke up horribly.
Suge Knight.
Oh, God, here we go.
Oh, sorry.
It's that midnight hour.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
No, Suge Knight ran that dude over with his pickup.
Yeah, well, dude, the best part of the Oscars was the Suge Knight jokes where they're like, yo, Suge Knight's here, and they like,
yeah, he's like, it
was the dude from Straight Outta Compton. And then they had like the Girl Scout cookie thing, and they're going through and talking about who bought them, and then they just like show Suge Knight like with a pile of Girl Scout cookies, and he's just eating them. That was like, I don't know how anybody could really say that the Oscars were terrible this year, because, come on, that gag alone was enough for me.
They were funny enough. It worked. It worked enough this year.
I thought it did, but I was all right with Neil Patrick Harris too when he was on there, which was also funny because I think Chris Rock made a dig at that too. Like, could have had Neil Patrick Harris up here.
Right, yeah.
I'm like, he was there. Fucking heaven forbid that it's Ellen DeGeneres again. Hosting the Oscars. Anyway. Yeah, this movie's garbage. I don't know. I don't think anybody should watch this movie under any circumstances.
Yeah, no, it's just don't go watch something else.
Go watch fucking, I don't know. Go watch the Nature Channel. It's probably better.
Yeah, or read a book. Just go read a book.
Could read a book. You could listen to some music.
Literally sit down for 2 hours and 7 minutes and start a book.
Honestly, you could make better use of your time by taking 2 hours and 7 minutes and just sitting in your chair, closing your eyes.
Right, and contemplating your life.
And either contemplating your life or like taking a nap.
Yeah.
That would be good. It would be a better use of your time than watching this movie.
I took a nap today because today was my day. Well, kind of half my day off.
Yeah?
I did that. Yeah. I mean, I had an off-site tonight, but I mean, I got to take a nap today for 2 hours. That was pretty good.
So, yeah, this movie, not good. And huge, big old, fat old thumbs down from me. And it sounds like Jesse, too. I think you should just avoid this movie.
Yeah, it was very bad.
Maybe the worst movie I've seen all year.
Probably, yeah.
Worse than The Forest, for sure.
Yeah, Well, at least the forest was
It's so
over in
bad
an hour and a
Jesse's
half.
falling asleep while he's talking about it.
I know, it's late.
It's like 45 minutes longer than the forest.
I'm on like mood enhancers now, and they make me fall asleep early.
Oh, yeah. What'd they put you on?
Just Prozac.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm afraid to take that stuff. They suggested some of it to me, and I was just like, you know what? I'm okay with being crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's fine. Like I just fall asleep earlier and get up earlier, which is fine. But it kind of like, and also if I have like 2 glasses of wine, like I'm out.
Well, that's
it.
what I mean, though. Like, I couldn't do it because, like, with the it's not like I drink like tons of alcohol every day, right?
Uh-huh.
But I do drink like a beer or 2 every day.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, which is all right because I also go to the gym for like 3 hours a day. So, because I'm crazy, and I almost partially just use the beer to put calories back in, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I didn't drink at all, I would be losing way too much weight. I don't know. Plus, I just like beer. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if I could do that. Like, I've already am on some stuff that affects the same part of my brain and makes me a little bit sleepy, but I don't know. I just get worried about that because I'm like, well, if they took me off of it, then you get those weird like brain zaps and shit because it like shuts off those receptors in your brain.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway.
Well, Prozac's pretty safe because there's like because it kind of like lingers in your system and then it kind of lingers out. Like it's not like a.
It's got a longer half-life.
Yeah, exactly. So you can come down off of it pretty easily. So there's sort of like, the cons aren't as much as the. Sorry, the cons aren't as much as the pros, but.
That's why it's called Prozac.
Yeah, son. But that's why I have I have one. Like I'll have a drink a night, like a glass of wine or something like that, and makes you very sleepy.
Monster Mania comes, you're gonna be passed out. We're gonna be drawing mustaches on you.
But it gets to a point where I'm like, if I drink just like too much, then I'm just up and awake.
Oh, okay.
That's
how I get, dude. I start drinking and I just wake up.
Yeah, it depends on what I'm having. Like I'm gonna bring some rum with me and get some soda.
Yo,
and,
you gotta help me drink this beer though.
No, I'm gonna drink some of that, but like in terms of like my go-to main thing, I'm gonna have that and I'll be fine. But wine's a different kind of.
Oh, I don't like wine. Wine makes me tired and grumpy.
Yeah, it makes you way tired, and
then it gives me a headache. Like if I ever get drunk off of wine, like I have a fucking awful headache. Even when I'm drinking it, like I think it's the sulfites.
Mm-hmm.
Because even when I drink cider, if it's got like sulfites added to it, like I will have like a cider and then I just get this horrible, enormous headache.
Right.
Which is why I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm just gonna drink beer because it doesn't bother me that way. So I don't know. I just like beer. It's good stuff. But anyway, Gods of Egypt. Fuck it. I think that's it for tonight. And we're gonna review that new Sarah Wayne Callies jam next week, right?
Yeah.
All right. So here's the thing. Don't go watch Gods of Egypt. And we'll be back next week on Wednesday, right? I think.
Wednesday-ish, yes.
So the 9th to review, I think it's called The Other Side, which is the new movie where Sarah Wayne Callies sees dead people, basically. And she's like, yo, I see dead people. And dead people be like, oh, dead people, look, I'm scary. But it's not going to be scary, I don't think. I think it looks like garbage, I'll be honest.
It looks like hot garbage.
But there's nothing else out this weekend, I don't believe, unless we were to review London Has Fallen, which I don't think I would want to do. I'm going to take my kid to see Zootopia this weekend.
Yeah, that looks great.
But that doesn't seem like something that we would, review. So it's either The Other Side of the Door or London Has Fallen, which apparently The Other Side of the Door is only playing on 500 screens. Oh my God, that's weird.
Yeah,
I just found that out.
Yeah, the nearest theater for me is like an hour away.
Oh God, do you want to review something else?
I mean, kinda. I mean, I don't really feel like driving all the way over there.
Well, here's the thing: if you're gonna go see it anyway, we'll review it. But if you're not, man, we can pick something else.
Cause like, here's the thing. Cause like, if I want to go, I have to go with John. I'd rather go with John, but that means like getting up really early on Friday to go to the 10 a.m. showing, which means I have to leave the house at like 9.
You tell me what's gonna make your life better.
Not seeing that movie, because let's be honest. Even if I kind of like that movie, it's not gonna be worth going. It's not like seeing like
I thought it was gonna be wide because there was like trailers all over the fucking place.
There were, and then they shut them down.
Oh, did they?
Well, there were like a bunch of trailers that then over the last like month they just stopped showing them completely.
Well, no, I've still been getting them, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. I don't even know if it's fucking playing out here, to be honest with you. They've had trailers for it in front of every movie that I've gone to see over the last however long, and I'm just looking real quick, and I don't see any showtimes for it either, which is leading me to think that they may have pulled it. Okay, so it is going to be playing here, but yeah, that you're right, there's no Thursday night showings.
No Thursday night, which is fine normally, but like,
but if
it kind of sucks for me because like that, that is just kind of screws with my week. But I mean, then that means the theater that's showing it for me is about an hour away. And, if it were something like The Witch, I'd be way more into like driving that distance.
Oh, right.
Get something that's presumably like, if it's like The Boy and it's like, worth it.
You're going crazy again. That midnight hour, dude.
But
that midnight hour.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
It should just be retitled In the Midnight Hour. She cries porn, porn, porn. Midnight, dude. People just start jacking off. That's what happens.
Right.
I don't know. You tell me though. Like, would you rather watch London Has Fallen? Or do you know of a different movie that we could review next week?
Can I get back to you tomorrow?
Yeah, we'll discuss that. So we'll be back next week. We'll be back on next Wednesday to review something. I will probably see The Other Side of the Door just because I'm a masochist. And it's playing out here. But I don't know exactly what we're going to be reviewing. But we're going to do that next Wednesday, and then it's Monster Mania time. So,
whoop, whoop.
So after next Wednesday, there will not be a live show the following week. I'm just going to put that out there now. We will not be doing a live show at all on the 16th because, quite frankly, like I'm probably going to be all still recovering from the previous weekend. So at the moment, it looks like next week live show. And then after that, we'll just have some other stuff we'll put up there for like the next week or two afterwards, probably just stuff we recorded. We'll probably post the Cloverfield Lane episode if we do that. Probably post that the week after. And then either we'll be back the following week or I'll just put out some other stuff that we record. Because I think we're going to record quite a bit of stuff when we're all together. So might as well, right? So with that being said, it is time to call it a night. So thanks everybody for listening. Stay tuned, I guess. Follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. And or just go over to the deadairpodcast.net site and keep up with the news of what we're going to be reviewing next week. That will be on its way. And you can follow me at deadairjeff on Twitter. Follow Jesse at Destroy Superman. Chad is at Horror Movie Barbecue on Twitter. And Jesse, did you have anything else you wanted to say to these fine people before we call it a night?
Don't. R.I.P. Alex Proyas.
R.I.P. Yeah, I mean, that's he's that's not good. I don't even know where to go from there. It's just gonna be bad news all around. Bad news. So yeah, that's really all I got, and we'll see you guys back here in about a week. Again, if you're gonna be in the area, come out to Monster Mania. Please say hi. Tell us you listen. We'd love that. Visit us, deadairpodcast.net. Do your shopping on Amazon and I don't know, the usual stuff. So we'll see you guys, and until then, don't fucking die because I just hit the wrong button. So I'm just going to shut this show down now instead of playing music. So have a good night.